Blake Jamieson.
What's up?
Thanks for coming in. Welcome to Dallas.
Thanks for having me, bro. Sick setup.
Thanks.
I feel official.
So we've known each other for 6 years.
Let's see here.
Whenever you got featured in a Red Bull.
2014.
Okay. So I also
7
was
years.
trying to set the record of like most matches on Tinder.
Nice.
And we both found ourselves as marketers very good at the dating game, the online dating game.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are, man.
So you're a really interesting guy, digital marketer turned artist who found out how to be successful.
Still working on it.
I mean,
It's going well.
you've sold non-fungible tokens.
Yeah. I think like the NFT stuff is cool. I think the coolest milestone that I've hit so far in my art career is I've sold over $1 million of art, and I've been doing it for 6 years now. So it's cool because that's a number that not a lot of people hit in their whole life. And I feel very fortunate that my path to becoming an artist led me through this journey of digital marketing.
And you only had to spend $30 million to sell that million. It's awesome.
Right. Well, you know, I have reinvested that $1 million into other artists that I believe in and into my own business. You know, I got, I don't know, 5 figures in the bank, not 6. And I made 7. So like, I definitely, you know, like, but that's also like inspiring to me. I think that like when I'm hungry, I work the best. And I've always put myself in a position where it doesn't really matter how much money I make. I'll put myself in a position to be hungry again. And that manifests in like spending money, either on like things that'll invest in my own business and be able to help me advance my own craft, and also just supporting other artists. You know, there's a handful of people, yourself included, supported my art early. You know, 2016 is when I started selling art. I felt comfortable enough to sell art. So I spent some time doing art full time. I fortunately had a little bit of a nest egg, so I didn't have to like sell art immediately. And I could really work on the craft. And then when I was ready to sell some art, you know, a lot of people like yourself believed in me and paid me for my work. And those, you know, have turned out to be really good investments that if those people wanted to, you know, resell the artwork, there's definitely a market for it. And there wasn't when you bought it. Right. So, so that's cool. And like, I just, I don't forget that stuff. And I also want to be that person for as many artists as I possibly can. So I've been buying up, early artworks, you know, from artists that I believe will, you know, have a longer legacy than the time that
Do
they
you
spend
post
on
about the
the
art
planet.
you buy?
Not really. And I'll tell you why. I have posted about the art that I buy in the NFT space, primarily because I want to like show people that I'm not just in the NFT space to make money. Obviously I want to do that, but I make a good amount of money in the NFT space, and all of that money I'm being paid in Ethereum. And I just spend that Ethereum in that marketplace of buying other artists. So I've been posting about that a good amount, but I'll tell you, it's like once people think, people think I'm a whale and I'm just out here with limitless money, and like the amount of, I call it spam, but like messages from artists being like, I see you're a big art collector. Like, please be my first collector. I look at that work, but like I look at it differently because I want the people that are like going to reach out to me for something else. And like, sure, they might make art and they might want me to buy it, but that shouldn't be the first thing out of their mouth when we like meet.
It's like sales 101.
Yeah. And so for that same reason, like I don't post about the physical pieces I buy that much, because I don't want artists like shilling their work to me. I want to like find the artists that are working on their craft and working on building relationships, and then I'll go and give them money and support them. But yeah.
When we met, you started something called 90 Days to MoMA.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that.
Sure. So I came from a background of digital marketing where I would help brands tell their story online through blog content, video content, some scripted stuff, some kind of more spontaneous stuff. And I felt like I was pretty good at it. I helped sell a lot of chlorine, for example, for a pool supply company that I worked for a long time. I'm guessing if they counted records, world records of that, I probably still hold the record for the most chlorine ever sold on Facebook. And so like through that process, I learned that if you can tell a good story, you can usually sell something on the back of that if that ties in and like you're telling the story that's going to appeal to the ideal customers. And so when I decided to pivot and do the art thing, I was trying to think of like a really fun and interesting story to tell about myself and my own journey in the art world, and came up with the concept of trying to get my art basically going from like a nobody that had almost never painted. Like I'd painted as a kid and like on sometimes nights and weekends, but not like a serious painter. Going from that to having my paintings in a world-class museum, which was the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, SF MoMA, which is like, that's like my hometown kind of area. And they had just done this big remodel. They were like really, I mean, it's a legendary museum. And yeah, so I came up with this idea of like, all right, well, I'll try to get my art into there within 90 days of like starting to paint, and I'll just film every day. And so I hired a videographer off of Craigslist, invited him to move into my house, which was actually my parents' house, because I moved back home with my parents at the age of 30. And it was a blast. And I met so many cool people through that some of them that I'm still pretty close with today. And even like, it's funny that you mention it, because even last week I have this, I've been friends with him for 3 years, but we're finally in a position where we're working together. He's a business partner of mine on the NFT stuff. And now we're exploring the idea of him being my manager, because I've just self-managed myself so far in my art career. And one of the things, like, he didn't know anything about 90 Days to MoMA. And so I'm like, look, if you're going to be my manager, you need to know the whole story. So let's start at the beginning and we'll just start watching the episodes. So we watched like 16 episodes so far, and they're short, anywhere from like 1 to 3 minutes, easy to watch. You know, we watched 16 episodes. That was like an hour. But he loves it. And I just think it's a cool project. It did pretty well at the time. And now, like, looking back, I can see like the comments and stuff. Like it actually was really, really great engagement from the small group of people that saw it. But I remember at the time feeling like it was not as successful as I'd hoped it'd be, because it wasn't getting thousands and thousands and thousands of views. You would get 1,000 views on each video, but I was hoping to get like 10,000, 100,000, because I had done client work for telling other brand stories and getting sometimes, you know, five or six figures views. And I thought that would apply really well to like doing something that I really loved. So I think at the time I was a little bit too caught up in like those metrics. And it's interesting now looking back and watching it and being like, wow, that actually was like moderately successful project. And the people that it did impact, I feel like had a meaningful impact. And yeah, I mean, it still holds up too. Like, I mean, that was 6 years ago. And I look at that and I look at like 6 years, like very novice me as an artist, mindset wise, exactly same. Like I'm the same person. Definitely, like, you know, I said some things then that I'm like, now I'm like, okay, well, I know better. But like the general, I think, mindset of like going out and asking for what you want, for example. So like on episode 1, I literally like carried my art into the MoMA in a paper bag and just went up to the front desk and was like, let me talk to your curator. I want to put some art in this museum. And they're like, nobody's ever done that before. I'm like, okay, well, cool. Let me talk to the curator. Like, you know, and obviously like that didn't result in meeting a curator and then getting the art in the museum. But like, I think it's a good example of me just being like, all right, well, ask for what you want. Like, why dance around it? Also, can we swear on this?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's cool to see that. Like, I'm not embarrassed of anything that I've ever put out, even if I don't necessarily like agree with where I was at then, or like I have a different thought process. Like the whole kind of general structure and like the mindset is exactly the same. And I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, it's weird. Other people make me self-conscious about things I've done. So I was in Denver and I was like, I'm going to go sell websites door to door and just film myself doing it.
Love that.
And I'm just going to walk into businesses and I'm going to bring like extreme gifts. So there was a kid's dentist office. I don't know the correct term for that. Mm-hmm. And I like walk in with like huge balloons. I mean, like massive balloons. And so there's a video of me like loading up this Uber with balloons. And there's me walking in. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, your website's terrible. I want to fix it. And so like 4 minutes later, I'm sitting with the lady who runs the the office.
Yeah.
And she's
That's
like,
rad.
this is so awful. Like, this is so cool that you did this. Like, I really wish I could help you, but like the dude, like our dentist, like his daughter made the website, and like we all know it's terrible, but like there's really nothing we can do. And so I published this video, and I thought like, hey, here's me. I think the title was like closing $50,000 worth of deals, you know, like in a day or whatever.
Right.
And like everybody was like, dude, it was so cringe watching that. Like I was so embarrassed for you. I was so nervous for you. And then it made me, I was like, oh man, did I not like, and so I think that's the power of just like doing something. And I also think it's so much easier when you have another person there. Like in this case, I filmed it myself, but like in your case, you had Matt filming you, and that kind of made it a little easier. 'Cause it's like, you're not going in alone. And then Matt can hide behind a camera. So it's like not like there is some power there. So you finish 90 days of MoMA. You don't get in at the end of 90 days. Real bummer.
Kind of get in. I mean, we did the flash mob, and then my art, and this is a spoiler for anybody that listens to this and then like watches, like at the end, we did a flash mob, and I smuggled 30 of my own artworks into the museum in bags that I purchased from the gift shop. It was pretty genius, to be honest. And then, you know, the staff thought it was performance art. Like they do so many different kind of performance pieces in museums like that, where like the staff didn't know if it was like sanctioned by the museum or not. So like it got to like kind of hang in there for a while. Ultimately they realized like, this is just Blake, like, cause they knew who I was, and they're like, this is one of Blake's stunts. You know, they had him take it all down. But some of the employees there were really, it was so interesting how that project was so polarizing to MoMA employees, and really like art professionals in general, where like you either were in the camp of like, this guy has no place in the art world. He's a marketer, and this is a fad, and like he's going to be gone shortly. So like, why don't even pay attention to him? And I think to like convince those people otherwise, it's just a matter of endurance race, right? I'm still here. 6 years later, I've sold $1 million of art. Like, is it a fad? Maybe, but it's been fucking fun. The other side of it is, you know, employees that were like, this is so cool. Nobody does this. Like, this is art in itself. Like even the process of trying to get in. And so some of those employees ended up being gifted by me a few of those artworks, and they made the effort and like put them up in the break room. So an argument could be made that my art is in the MoMA. I don't know if it's still, I mean, that was 5 years ago, so who knows if it still is now, but like employees were like sending me pictures in the break room to be like, congratulations, like you're hanging on the walls of MoMA. It's just in the employee only section. So yeah.
Day 91, what'd you do?
We recorded a pretty long, like a 2-hour debrief of me and Matt about everything that we learned. And then, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was really weird because 90 days straight, we wake up, Matt starts filming. He films like me planning the day, and then we go and execute those tasks. And typically, depending on an average day, we would try to shoot until about 4 p.m. And then at 4 p.m., he would stop filming. He would go and start editing the day's content, because we were publishing the video every single day of the footage from the day before. And so that's a very quick turnaround. And so between like 4 p.m. and midnight, usually he would just be editing. And if I was going to do anything cool, we'd set up a tripod. I would still film myself. And then I might come in at 8 o'clock and I'd be like, hey, I just had a great painting session in the studio. Here's the here's the SD card. Here's the footage. Put this in at the very end of the thing. And like by then he's already got most of the edit kind of structured. We can chop stuff up, so that the idea was by midnight we'd try to go to bed and then have something ready that we'd be ready to publish tomorrow. And we'd sleep till about 8. So we get 8 hours of sleep. We'd wake up at 8 and then schedule the published video to go live at noon that day. Same, and rinse and repeat. He would film me planning the day. Then I would execute the stuff. 4 o'clock would come. He'd start editing. So when that ended, it was really like a missing, like I would imagine like a missing limb. All of a sudden you're like, you feel like this weird piece of you is not there anymore. And you almost have these like I've actually heard of people that like lose a leg and then they have like phantom pains where like they feel like their right foot is in pain, but they don't even have a right foot anymore. It was kind of like that, where like I'd be doing things without Matt around filming me, and I'd be like looking around to be like, where's Matt? Like, did he get that? That was a moment. So that's interesting. I think that also doing that like cadence really taught me, and I think taught Matt, who by the way is absolutely killing it. It'd be fun. It could be fun to talk about like the hiring process, because me and Matt like really, really vibed. But
Gosh, I should have flown him out.
It would have been good, but he probably wouldn't have come, man. He's busy, man. He's editing the Avengers movie right now. Like the actual next Avengers movie that'll like be in theaters. Like he's one of the
and
editors.
You found him on Craigslist.
I found him on Craigslist. And when I found him, I remember like, cause I had like scheduled like a bunch of interviews. I was planning to like interview like 6 people where I would actually have them come out to my house. They would spend an entire day with me. And the interview was like, let's do an episode. And I had like different things planned where it might be painting or, you know, doing activities. And then I just wanted to see like what they filmed and then what they would turn into that. And I had all these interviews scheduled. And then Matt came in. He was the very last applicant. And I took his application, thought it was great, jumped on a phone call, thought it was great, said, hey, I want to get you on these interviews. But like, I've already got a bunch of them planned for next week. Like if you can come tomorrow, we can do it. And he's like, cool, I'm there. So he comes and then it hits it off. Like we hit it off so well that like, he's the only person I interviewed. I called everyone else that said, I'm sorry, the position's been filled. And like, it sucks. Like those people might've been insanely talented. I mean, they were, because I got hundreds of applications. I narrowed it down to like my top 6, but like Matt was just the perfect fit. I mean, we went to the same college, UC Davis. He was like a pre-med major that like decided super late, like, no, I want to do video production and art, but like still did like pre-med through undergrad. And then was like after school, like trying to figure it out. And his parents were like, very like, I don't know about this like video thing. Like you did pre-med, like why like apply to med school? And he's like, no, I'm going to give this a shot. And like convince his parents that like this project working for me all summer would be like a test, right? To see if he could have the chops to do it. And like the project went so well, at least from a standpoint, especially of like him, like he was a indie filmmaker that had made like three like short films that are like 10 minutes each. And that's it. Like that was his entire portfolio. And now all of a sudden he has 90 different videos that he can practice, like his editing style, you know, everything, even, and then like the quick turnaround, everything. Like it was a great summer.
So you've painted over 400 professional athletes.
Yeah. And I kind of got to recount because I mean, I've been saying 400 for like a year now. And I've done like from Topps alone, with my licensing deal with Topps baseball cards, like I'm on my 3rd set with them, and I've done like 80 paintings of baseball athletes. So we're probably coming up on 500, I would guess.
All right. So 500 professional athletes over 6 years. Mm-hmm. What was your very first professional athlete? C.J.
Anderson. Played for the Denver Broncos. Happened to have been on my fantasy football team like the year before. I would play fantasy football with my dad. Just like now I play fantasy football almost like as a CRM because I can keep track of clients, and that's a separate conversation. But yeah, I was in Las Vegas. I was delivering art to oh man, what's his name? The dude from
Howie
Punch
Mandel?
Out. No. So the hookup for that was through, I worked with Howie Mandel in LA, and the guy, this guy Seth, who managed Howie's YouTube channel, also managed the YouTube channel for Pawn Stars, Rick Harrison. And so he's like, yo, that went so well with Howie. Would you be open to doing Rick Harrison? And what we're going to do is we'll have you paint the painting, and then we're going to go to the pawn shop, and we're going to do like a little skit where like I'm trying to like potentially pawn off this painting, but it's a painting of him, and then like it could be like a fun like video thing. So yeah, I was there, got to meet Rick Harrison, who by the way is super tight. He's actually a big art collector, but like blue chip, like really nice art, versus a new like artist that's like been doing this.
Has he ever bought a piece from you?
He didn't buy a piece from me, but so he's a big fan of books, like really rare old books. And when I work with someone, I try to do some research on like what they like. And so when we met, we did we ended up doing the video, we didn't go with the pawning aspect, but we did this little video at the pawn shop. Went cool, but nothing like amazing. Like you could tell he was kind of like, he was there to film, and then he was working, and then he was going to leave. And then after, I started talking to him about books, and he really started to open up. And like, there's some really cool, like BTS footage of us having conversations where like he's just like gushing about like these super famous like rare books that he's collected over the years. And I was really curious about it because my dad is actually also like a really big book collector, so I could kind of have like a little common ground there. And like at the end of it, like he gave me his cell phone number and his email address and was like, hit me up. Like, I have contacts in the art world. Like, let's talk. And then even like after he left, then like Seth and like everyone else on the team is like, dude, I've never seen Rick open up like that to someone that he's never met before. Like,
so good at
he's
marketing.
a very like business in and out, like shake your hand. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Bye. And that's how the video was. But then after that, like he was engaged.
So did you send him an email and text?
Never did. I've got a bunch of people like that. I've got, I met the guy.
Can I be your manager?
I know, man. But look, it's scary, you know, sometimes. Like, he's a big dog, and I wanted to, like, my thinking then is like, okay, this is a great contact, but I only have a first chance to, like, send him this first email that's going to make an impression that, like, obviously, like, I did well in person, but now that we're removed from each other, he might not remember I'm the guy that talked to him about all these rare books. I'm cold emailing, you know, Rick Harrison at pawnstars.com or whatever his email address is. I never felt like I had something that was cool enough to bring him. And then when my art got cool enough, I felt like it had been too long. And so I'm like, I'm not going to hit this dude up because it's been a year, right? And there's been a few contacts like that. And it's easy to look back and say, oh, man, I should have. And I should have. But it's also easy to look back and say, you know what? The path that I took worked. And so I don't have any regrets about that. And who knows? Like, I still have that contact information. I could hit him up now, but like now I'm like deep in the sports world.
Do you still text Miley Cyrus every year on her birthday?
No, I only did that for a couple of years. Yeah. But that's a good example. Like, I don't know, man. But yeah, I met the guy that does. So Shepard Fairey is like one of my favorite artists, and both from artistic standpoint, but also from the brand building of like he really took his kind of street art and graffiti angle. And like now he's a gallery artist, like a blue chip gallery artist, repped by the top galleries, sells art, you know, for 5-6 figures per piece. That's aspirational, you know, for other artists. And so I was at this party, which I crashed during 90 Days to MoMA with fake press passes.
Yeah, I remember when you put those together.
And like this dude was super tight, and he was like, he did all this stuff like project execution for Shepard, where like he would take Shepard's paintings and then stitch them into these like insanely intricate, like ornate rugs. And then they would like sell the rugs, and they'd be like $300,000 pieces of art. And he's like, he really liked me because he was always trying to like, it's such like a weird thing, and also weird that I remember. He was really into like making his own paintbrushes out of different types of materials. And I had overheard him saying like he was really trying to get horsehair, but horsehair is like hard to come by, apparently.
And you have
and
horses?
I'm like, yo, I live on a farm and I have horses. Like, I will go out there with scissors and like I'll get you some horsehair. And like, you know, like my grandparents, stuff like that, like we just have horsehair. And so I'm like, I got you. I can be your horsehair plug. And he was like, yes. He's like, I could be, you know, he's like, I'll help you with art. Like my studio does Shepard Fairey and we do this. And I'm like, amazing. Never hit that dude up. And like, I mean, that's silly because like I could have brought the horsehair. That's the value.
Yeah.
And I had it, right? But I didn't because I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready for that yet.
Thanks for silencing your phone.
Yeah, that's fucking account services. That's Amex needing fucking bills paid.
See, that's why you should hit that guy up.
I know. I get that. I get that. I don't know. These guys always fucking call me. It's so annoying. Sorry. It's allegedly silent now. Yeah. So it's weird, man. And again, like I have that dude's contact information. What's that? Pace Gallery.
You should text him right now.
I would probably text him today, but I don't know about right now.
Right now, and just be like, hey, we met several years ago. I had the horsehair pickup. I've now sold $1 million worth of art. We should talk.
You're not wrong.
So here's my move when I get somebody importance number.
Mm-hmm.
Is if I get their number, the first thing I do is send them a text, and then that way it's fine. Oh, it's
getting hot in here.
Yeah. So I send them a text, and then I look for pieces of content or memes over the next like several months that they'll think is funny or valuable that they haven't seen before.
Okay, I like that
because then I can like build this actual friendship.
Yep.
And then
I'm a big GIF guy.
Yeah. And then after that, again, all depends on the person. This fell flat with, I won't name the person's name, but like I was like, hey, do you want to hit up the gun range? Like, because like I do have sick guns, and I was like, oh, so sometimes that falls flat. But I just try memes like occasionally, just to like stay top of mind.
Yeah.
And then until I get the value piece, until I get the thing that's like, I'm watching their Instagram stories. They're, I don't know, they see something they want and I have it or whatever. And I'm like, sweet. And I gift it. And so I thought you would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't believe.
Well, I think that people might get a skewed impression if I tell those stories about what I would consider very early in my art journey, where I got contacts of people who at the time I believed were out of my league and I didn't do anything with. That's something that I'm always trying to get better at. And I think those both happened within the first 12 months of me picking up a paintbrush.
Yeah.
I'm 6 years deep now and $1 million in sales in. Like, there's nobody I don't hit back anymore. And I don't care. They could be whatever, right? They could be the highest person up in the art bit. Like, I'm confident now that I can hang and talk, because also like $1 million probably puts me in like the top 1% of artists of all time ever of art sales in their life. And part of that is skewed because of like inflation and stuff of like, there could be artists that made $600,000 in their life a long ass time ago where like they were richer, right, in their own day than I am. But still, like, that $1 million number I think is a cool number. I've never actually said it out loud to anyone else. I mean, internally to my team, I'm like, hey guys, we did this. Like, this is awesome. Never publicly, like, I'm not out there being like, I'm $1 million selling artist. But because I know that, I have this confidence that I didn't have before, where like, I mean, I'm serious. Like, I would text the dude from Pace. I would text Rick Harrison today, right?
You should
and
text
say, like,
Rick Harrison
hey,
today and be like, hey, we should do an NFT project together. I think this could be good for both of us.
NFTs are an interesting angle where you really got to bring it to the right people, because it's so early in the space that I just don't think it's the right fit for a lot of people.
But I think that dude loves licensing stuff.
It would be, so again, like going back to like doing research about him, like I could research and see if I think that would be a good fit based on the type of stuff that he's sharing and talking about publicly now. It certainly might be, because obviously like he's in the collectible space. One of the interesting things about NFTs is like NFTs have like guaranteed and provable authenticity and scarcity. And once those two things are mixed together into a single asset, that's where markets are made, and like he's living in that world. So I know that like long-term NFTs will be extremely attractive to someone like Rick Harrison. I don't know if he's there yet, because he's also like, could be the kind of guy like yourself to be like, I want something physical, right? He collects books, like real books. That's the one of one book that like no one else can hold, but he can hold. He might be like, and I don't understand NFTs yet, and so they're not of interest, where like, I just want to make sure that when I reach out to those type of people that are really top caliber, I'm coming from a very educated and researched position where like I'm only bringing them stuff that's a shoe-in. Like, I'm not going to reach out to people. I'm not going to shoot moonshots to like Gary Vee and be like, yo, we should do blah, 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 because it's just not going to it's not going to be the right thing. Like, but if I can find something that's like a perfect fit to be like, this will resonate and I know it, then I'll shoot my shot.
Yeah. Have you had a gallery yet?
No.
Do you ever plan to have one?
Probably my own. Yeah. So the gallery model is interesting, because typically art galleries are taking 50% of the sales. They still actually expect the artist to promote and like still bring customers. And depending on the caliber of the gallery, they could be bringing their own art collectors that are introducing new people to my work. But like, the way that I would get signed with a gallery is if I can prove to them, if you sign me, I will bring you customers that make both of us money. And with that, like kind of as the overarching expectation, it's like, why would I do that? I can sell it for myself. And in fact, like, and it's not even a matter of like cutting into my profit margins. It's a matter of like giving my customers a better price, because I still like 6 years in, like I feel like I'm still a very new artist. I don't know what the word is. Like an up and coming artist or whatever. I want my prices to continuously go up, but not like, I don't want to all of a sudden be like, my pieces start at $20,000. You can only afford it if you're rich. That's not the type of art that I want. Like, I want my art to be accessible. And so signing with a gallery would probably end up meaning that I end up doubling my prices, selling the same number of works, which is cool because gross revenue is higher, but it's still like same pocket money for me. Why am I going to go give a gallery money? Because ultimately what that's doing is that's punishing these early collectors and it's charging them twice as much. And I don't want to do that. I'd rather make my art as affordable as possible while I can continue to like expand and grow my business.
So I have this thing where I want to meet all your collectors, and I want to meet, like, I want to know all 485 athletes that have a painting of yours in their house, right?
Okay.
And so I feel like I'm in this club that, like, I own Blake Jamieson art.
Yep.
And I want to meet the other people that own Blake Jamieson art. Something I have are Cabot guns, or these made in the USA, 1911 guns. I guess they're technically handmade, but they're the only company that makes everything in the USA from one block of steel. So most of these made in the USA companies import from other countries, then machine it down.
Right.
And so their clients include former President Trump, but they also include, like, just like every billionaire in every country. It's like if you buy the nicest, they made a $4.5 million pistol set out of a meteorite. And I'm like, man, I wish owning these guns got me into a club of everybody else that owned these guns, because like the networking, like I'll go visit them at like a gun
Here's
show.
another reason why NFTs are going to blow your fucking mind, bro. Sorry, continue.
So I when I go visit them at a gun show and there's other people that own their guns in the booth, it's always somebody who's mega successful, somebody who I want to know, and I'm just like, this is so fun. I have this random follower. I watch the show Gold Rush.
Okay.
It's like I used to watch the show Gold, like where they're like looking for gold in Alaska, and like the main character guy like followed me on Instagram one day. He follows like 100 people, and he's got like 200,000 followers. And I saw that like it was the day that Cabot Guns had posted a photo of me in one of their guns, right?
Okay.
And I was like, oh cool, we're in the club. Like we're in the club of people that own these guns. Yep. And so I say that to say that is when my goal is to ultimately be president. Network is ultimately all that kind of matters for me. Not really even monetizing network, just like having the network. And so I look at like, all right, this is an investment in Blake because I like it, but it's also investment in the network.
Yep.
And then I look at your power is like some of your clients would really like to know me in the same way that I'd really like to know them, or at least I think, maybe not.
Yeah.
And so how do you leverage having hundreds of customers that are all high profile and pretty cool, and creating a community or some type of event where everybody flies out and everybody and that's so the reason I said art gallery was this idea that you could host an event, like maybe it's a one-day event or whatever, and like your top people like me fly out, and it's just like awesome. Everybody meets each other, and it's like we all love Blake's work, and that's the whole my idea. I'm sure you've thought about this. You're a marketer. You're a smart guy. Go.
I have. I think that one of my strengths as an artist is that I have this longer term vision goal, or even like longer term like vision and business mindset. And so even something as simple as every single painting that I've ever created is extremely well documented in a spreadsheet with the date that I painted it, the medium that I used, the size that it was, what if it was included in an art show, if it was purchased, how much it was purchased for, who it was purchased by, what their shipping address is, what their email address is, what their phone number is. Like I have a ridiculous catalog of all of my works and where it's ended up. Now I can't stop other people, right, from selling the work, but that's a valuable thing. It's still difficult to rally all of that into a single cause. And that's why when I mention NFT stuff, I think NFT is really interesting. So you look at what Gary Vee is doing of like, anybody that has my NFT has access to VCon. And that's it. You can't buy a ticket anywhere else. Like that's the only way you can get to VCon. I'm thinking something similar with my art, where I actually did a free NFT similar to what Gary did, except instead of selling them, I just gave them away to all of my fans. It's called a Blake coin. If you don't have one, I'll give you one. On June 1st, I'm going to be doing a digital event where everybody that has the coin will have access to this private link, and they can all come. And this kind of because of where we're at with like still coming off the back of COVID, and also like my collectors are all over the world. I'm like, okay, this one's digital, but this is laying the foundation for the way that I see my art business evolving is, and I've told you this before, I still want to continue painting physical paintings. I love making real stuff in real life that I can hold. A lot of my collectors appreciate that too. I will continue making paintings. I will also make a complimentary NFT that goes with every single painting, and that will be framed as the certificate of authenticity, because NFTs are really good at proving that something is authentically attributed to a particular creator, and also provably scarce in that, in this case, there's only one of them. And so I think long tail, my business looks like I make physical paintings, somebody buys it, NFTs, and this is also assuming that NFTs become more easily accessible to the masses, where it's really easy to set up a cryptocurrency wallet and a kind of a storage place where you can keep your digital artworks. So these people have this NFT also. And then, yes, I think like doing meetups where the only people that are allowed in the door are people that own my work. And the way that they prove it is saying, look, I have the NFT, which is the certificate of authenticity for the painting that's on my wall at my house. Like, that's how you get in the door. Every single person in that room is somebody that literally owns a physical painting of mine. That's very exciting, but I also think like we're probably like 5 years out from that being a reality. Now but it's something that I'll try to do probably in a year, right? Like I'll try it, but like the mass adoption, we're not quite there yet. Like think about when, let's see, I'm just trying to think of like a good like relevant example.
Facebook was for colleges only.
No, I'm thinking more. I'm thinking more of like currency. So I'm thinking like bank accounts, like online banking, having a debit card and using a ATM machine, or like swiping your card, or like Apple Pay more recently, right? Like popping your, like I've still never actually done Apple Pay or done the little like the little like tap. I never tap my card. I don't trust that shit yet. I'm gonna put that chip in there, or I'm gonna swipe it. You know, there's like this new technology starts to exist, and everyone's always like, oh, I don't know, it's sketchy. Even me sometimes, like I don't trust that yet. I want to have real dollars, right? I don't want to write you a check, or I don't want to swipe a card. I'm going to pay you currency, right? Dollars. I think we're going to get to a point where everybody has an NFT wallet, just like everybody has a bank account. Now, if you meet someone that doesn't have a bank account, it happens, but it's rare, right? It's really rare that you meet someone that's like, I don't trust banks. I keep my money under my mattress. But there are people like that. There are going to be people like that with NFTs where they're like, I don't trust this. This shit's going to track me or something. Like this is some weird shit. I'm gonna do the cash under the mattress. But like when most of the people have an NFT wallet just like they have a bank account, which I think we're going to get there. I think it's just going to take some time. Then doing events that are like collectors only, you know, the Blake Collectors Club, whatever. And it's like every year could be like, yo, okay, we're going to go to Monaco. We're going to do it on a fucking boat. There's going to be some James Bond shit. And it's going to be like, it'll be an art gallery where like I'm displaying like 100 of my newest works that no one has seen yet. And you got to be on the boat if you want to see them. And to get on the boat, you have to have bought some of my stuff before. Like, I mean, it's like that's going to get there.
Is that what Alec Monopoly does?
I don't know.
He seems like a kind of guy that would do that.
Yeah. I mean, Alec is a great brand builder. And I mean, I enjoy his art. I have a couple of his pieces, but I don't like the way that he approached the NFT space. It was very much cash grabby, which is understandable. You know, I'm a capitalist, so I want to like capitalize and make money, but not at the expense of my collectors. And the way that I have a very like bitter taste in my mouth about Alec's business practices right now, mainly because his brother. And even like if you look back at Alec's whole history, like Alec quote unquote sold his first piece of art for $20,000, but it was to his brother. His brother has a different last name. His name's Anon or Adnan, or I don't know exactly how to, like whatever, Aiden. So his brother's like his manager and bought this like quote unquote $20,000 piece of art and then they like publicized it, and like his brother and him had different last names, so like it looked like it was just an art collector thing. It was like, I just think it's one thing to like leverage perception to like, you know, I think it's okay to leverage perception and like play the cards to your favor. Artists, it's tough to make a living as artists. It's okay if a practical example for me, I give out tons of artwork for free as strategic gifts to build my business. I have, you know, over the last 6 years, and like I'll post a picture of an athlete, because those 400 not all 400 paid me. Half of them paid me. For every artwork I did for free, I was able to sell one extra artwork for full price, and I baked that into my marketing strategy. And I have been very like vocal about that in general. But like at the time, you know, I get like CJ Anderson, perfect example. That artwork was free. I get to meet CJ. He holds up the painting. We take a picture together. I'm like, my first NFL collector, CJ Anderson. Like, yes, he's a collector. I'm not saying this piece just sold for $20,000 to CJ, right? So like there was a little bit of deception with Alec's whole strategy from the jump, where like I'm like, that's not the way that I want to build my business. I get like being active and like the perception of selling work. I don't like the idea of like selling work for $20,000 to a family member and then publicizing that, really leaning on the dollar
totally,
amount.
What's his name? Trust Me, I'm Lying. What's that book?
Ryan Holiday. It's called Trust Me, I'm Lying.
Yeah, it's pretty much that.
Kind of. But even Ryan wasn't like I love Ryan Holiday. He's actually one of my favorite authors.
Have you done a piece for him yet?
I've offered to. He's not the kind of guy that wants a painting of himself. But I'm friends with him. He's cool. He didn't want a painting.
Has he had a book come out in a while?
Let's see. So he has. I mean, he does a book every 2 years, and he does extreme research, you know, preparations. I love like his writing process is so cool.
I think The Perennial Seller was the last one I read.
There's definitely been like two more books since
the
then.
Hulk Hogan one. Which one ever? I think Perennial was after Hulk Hogan, right?
I don't know. I don't think I read the Hulk Hogan one.
Oh, dude, it's about his whole like sets tape that Peter Thiel like took down Gawker Media, like funded his entire lawsuit, and they never had a clue.
Maybe I did read that. He definitely writes about Peter Thiel a lot.
I met Peter Thiel in New York City like a year ago.
I'd so much rather meet Ryan Holiday. I've never met him in real life. I'm not a huge Peter Thiel fan.
He was very awkward.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think...
but most super smart people like Elon Musk and...
Yeah, they're going to be a little bit socially awkward. And like, I think like... It's funny too, because I actually feel like I'm that way, where I think I've done a really good job, I think, shaping my online kind of brand and persona. And like, you know, I'm doing live streams 3 nights a week. I've gotten very comfortable live streaming to an audience of 1 or an audience of 1,000, and I can engage with them. I can like be a chameleon and be personable. And then I'll go out to like events and meet people in real life, and like I'm a little bit awkward. And it kind of depends, to be honest. Like I could be drinking enough whiskey where I'm like, okay, I'll like whatever. Like I could be loose, and then that can go too far sometimes, and I can get drunk, and then that's like bad. But like I've done a good job of in my own box. I think I can like control my brand persona really well, and like control might even be the wrong word. Of like I'm not like, it's not manipulative. It's just like this is how I am. Like this is how I build my brand. Because also like I work in isolation all the time. I'm in my studio alone all the time. When coronavirus hit and then everybody was quarantining, I'm like, oh my God, thank God I don't have to go to events. I don't have to get like it was like nice. It was normalizing my life already. If like I self-quarantine all the time. Yeah,
10 days, no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. A guy you told me about, another interesting guy, the most famous artist. Is that right? That's what he goes by?
Yeah, themostfamousartist.com.
I thought his recent piece where he did these giant like sculptures, just had them appear in the middle of nowhere. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but do you want to know the funny part?
Yeah.
Those weren't him.
Oh.
Okay. This is the brilliant marketer in him. Matty Mo is an opportunist. What happened was there were these monoliths that started to appear. There was one, all of a sudden one appeared in the Las Vegas desert. Giant, 20-foot tall monolith sculpture, all reflective and cool looking. And it's this like perfectly polished modern art piece in the middle of a desert. It just pops up out of nowhere. Nobody knows who does it. Then it gets taken down, and then it appears again, and it's somewhere else. And then it appears again somewhere else. Matty Moe is an opportunist, and he's a brilliant marketer. And so he made a website called Monoliths as a Service, and he used photos of the monolith, which we still don't know who did it. Could have been Banksy. Could have been, somebody with resources. Matty Moe positioned it as to saying, this might have been me. And then if you look close, to be like, yo, Matt, oh my God, were you behind it? His response to everything is like, we're all behind it. Always. Like he never said that he did it. Now, it is possible he did it, but if he did it, he would have told people he did it.
So,
and it's like, I know Matty, I've done art shows with him. Like he capitalized on that really, really well. He also is very similar to me. He had a background in tech. He was more on the tech side and like the finance side. He had some exits. He made stupid tech money and then was like, I'm going to be an artist. And then branded himself the most famous artist, which is brilliant. Got the domain, got all the usernames. And so when people are searching for the most famous artist, like who's the most famous artist, it'll say Matty Moe. That's the most famous artist. And it's brilliant. Like amazing artist from a branding standpoint. He didn't execute that. He capitalized.
Okay, so the post I saw on Instagram by him, and again, I must have just read it wrong, was that like the only all these people want to talk to me about it. I won't meet with anybody except Joe Rogan. Like that's the only place I'll go on to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I was he posted a photo of it. I was like, oh, he's the guy that's been dropping these.
Brilliant. He is one of the smartest.
So, okay, there's the most famous artist. There's Alec. Who else is there that's kind of in that space? Those are the only two I guess know of.
So there's a guy named Mr. E. Mister space E. He's based in Florida. Also, and it's crazy, like me, Maddie, Mr. E, all come from like this marketing kind of tech background. These guys dominate the art world. And they're like, Mr. E is a brilliant. And what he came up with is he did, it's $100 bill.
Oh, yeah.
But it was custom colored, right? Like different, like tie-dye, like a tie-dye.
Yeah, I have a knockoff one because I can afford his.
Yeah, you had Eric make one of those. That's brilliant, man. Look at that. Like he's literally printing money. And the ironic part is he's printing money that looks like money. He's printing these $100 bills, probably costs him, 2 cents per bill. It's a fake $100 bill that sells for more than $100. That's insane. Like he's a genius. He's a fucking genius. So Mr. E is right up there. He's in that niche. And like even more recently, like look at Beeple. You know Beeple? Beeple is why you've heard of an NFT. He's the one who
sold it for $65 million.
$69 million at a Christie's auction. He's just done so much.
And that was no BS. Like somebody actually paid $69 million for it. Mm-hmm. Who was the person? Do we know?
Yes, his name is his online persona, his name's Medicoven. He is Indian dude, made all of his money in tech, very, very, very wealthy, and was very early in the crypto space, like early blockchain, buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stuff. And so, if you take a dude who made millions of dollars in tech and then happened to invest even like a portion of that, right? Like if you made $10 million and then you put $1 million of it into Ethereum 4 years ago, because you're like, well, first of all, I have millions, so who cares? And also, like, this tech is actually like impactful, where it could change the world
at like $1 a coin.
Not $1, but yes, like $200, right? And then now it's at 3 to 4,000, that million turns into a lot of millions. He is a huge, really big in the art. Like he's a big art collector, and that's what millionaires do, man. Well, like how are you gonna flex on your friends besides like having the dopest art? Like what else are you like? It's like, oh, you have a Lamborghini, so what? So does fucking John next door. Oh, you have this, so does fucking Susie next door.
So
like,
the
whatever,
ultimate
right?
flex is an art piece.
It is. And think about it, like look at it, man. Look at all the richest people. Their flex is their art collection. I was on a $10 million yacht where there were original Basquiat's. Basquiat's the guy that did this tattoo. Like original Basquiat's just on his yacht. He'd be like, yeah, this is my floating gallery, right? Like he's got it. And like that's dangerous, man. Like those shit's out at fucking sea. There's salt water in the air. Like because you go to a museum and you see like these Basquiat's and they're protected behind like bulletproof glass, like temperature controlled, like because there's only a finite number of them in the world. And he's like, yeah, that's my yacht collection. And it's like the yacht was insane. Lauren's just got the plugs, like no joke, man. She got us on that yacht, and I'm like, oh my God. And it's crazy. Like that's another example. Like I got that guy's phone number, and I'm like, his collection is insane. Like his yacht is like a museum, like could be a museum. And I'm there like drinking a mimosa with like his daughter or his like kids, right? And like he's like, yeah, like hit me up. Like he invented this company that made this what was it called? Sea Stable, Sea something. It would go in boats, and it was basically like you would install it in the bottom of the boat, and it was on like a gyro, and it was this spinning thing that would spin where like the water could be like the waves could be like this, and it would just, your boat would just be totally still, because you had this like he had invented this like piece of metal, like this heavy thing that like anchored the boat, that they like spun so fast that like the centrifugal force just held your boat completely stable no matter the weather. And he sold that to like all these rich boaters that are like, yo, I'm gonna be out, like I want to be able to take my yacht out, but like if I'm out in a wave storm, whenever it's like a storm, right? Like
a wave storm,
right? I don't want my boat.
That's how you know you don't own a yacht, when you're like, the wave
storm, dude. Like it, like basically it made it so that like your yacht couldn't capsize, and he made billions of dollars from that, and then he used some of that to like buy this mega yacht, and then turn it into his own art gallery, and then like. Yeah, like Lauren like knew him, and like we just went out and like went on an adventure, like just like sailing around and like drank mimosas all day and like hung out with these ridiculous, like, I mean, there's rich people and then there's like rich people, right? And he was like one of those. And like same thing, I got his number, never hit him up.
What?
Never hit him up.
Why?
Because I only want to bring people opportunities that are going to be cool for that. Like, I don't want to be, because I already get the spam from the people, and I don't want to be that dude for him.
But isn't he asking for it when he gives you his number?
No.
Okay.
No, man. He's being courteous and nice.
Oh, did you ask for his number?
I don't know the exact context of the conversation, but like I had his contact information because like he knew that I was an artist, and I'm sure that there was a way where I like finagled it where I'm like, yo, like you should give me your number because blah, blah, blah. But then like, I'm not going to follow up with something that's like whack for him. Like I'm not going to waste his time. And
yeah, you don't think over 6 years of time you could come up with something to reach out that would not be a waste?
I mean, sure, maybe now. Like, but I mean, dude, you don't understand. These paintings that he has on his wall on his yacht are like $100 million paintings. What am I going to bring to that dude that he can't get?
A Blake Jamieson painting. He doesn't have one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but also like that's part of it, man. I know my role. Like I'm a successful artist, but I'm not a blue chip artist.
Yeah.
And knowing that, I think, is part of my strength of like not pushing my shit on the wrong people, because like everybody that I message like fucks with me in a good way. I don't want to mess up that ratio. Everybody fucks with me because I only message people stuff if I have something of value to bring them. Yeah. And that could be my art, or it could be an introduction or an idea or feedback. Like, it could be a lot of different things. And a lot of times my value that I can bring to somebody, especially these ultra rich people, has nothing to do with my paintings. And I want to keep it that way because I don't want to be the guy that's trying to push a painting on someone.
Yeah, but like, you could at least send a text. It's like, hey, had a great time today. Thank you again.
I sent him a thank you text. Okay. I'm not saying I never messaged him. I say, hey, thank you so much for that. Like, you know, that experience is cool, right? Like,
I literally was taking it like that. You get these people's numbers and just never do one thing.
And same with all of them. Same with fucking Rick Harrison. Like, I text him thank you. But I didn't text him anything like trying to push anything.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So there's a tiny bit of like, I'm not the dude that ghosted, but I'm the dude that like got the contact.
I get that. This whole time I've been thinking you just ghosted these people. That's why I was so blown away.
I just never leveraged it.
Yeah, I get that. I just thought that you literally just never even sent him a text.
Sorry if that was unclear. I'm a courteous texter. Just like I'll get a girl's phone number, and even if I don't plan on texting her, like, I'm still going to text her and be like, it was great to meet you. Thank you, you know, for like giving me your phone number or whatever, right? Like there's something, right? Like but I don't consider that like, that's not outreach.
Yeah.
That's like courtesy. I cover the courtesy.
Okay.
I don't do the outreach.
That makes sense.
I missed the outreach on, and honestly, those are the only 3 I can remember, but before it was only 2, and then I thought about that boat guy, and then I'm like, yep, never texted, like, didn't follow up with him either, like, about shit. Yeah.
It's always interesting to me, some of these influencers in the huge networks they have or the people they know, that's not from them being an influencer, just from their upbringing or who their dad was, who their parents were. Mm-hmm. And I always think like, man, why aren't you just leveraging that more? There's some people that like are an influencer for a living, and I'm just like, man, you would crush it at like the head of business development and sales of a cool company that you believed in.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, influencers are amazing marketers, the good ones, right? They can market anything. And if they decided to say what I'm going to market is not necessarily like my body or my music or my art,
but instead it's
whatever,
or
my food reviews, right? Anything like that. Like if they pivoted, some of them could probably make 10x the money. Not that that's the only thing that matters, but like they could do really, really well if they focused their effort to promote a brand that was like a better brand that had more differentiators between their competition. Because I think that a lot of problem is like influencers are everywhere, and there's also this unlimited supply. There's zero barrier to entry to become an influencer. You just basically have to say you are one and then start putting out content. And obviously there's different levels of success, but like anybody could be a food critic, right? Or anybody could be a food blogger.
I bought bestdallasfood.com this morning.
Good. I like domains.
Just because, and I was like, because I love reviewing places because I don't drink alcohol, so I think it actually gives me like a clear palette of like, I'm just analyzing the food. Like there's like, and I don't really like, people don't impress me much, and like I don't like change my reviews based on people, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I'm going to start.
You don't change your reviews based on people?
I don't think so. Like, for example,
don't you think? Okay, hold on.
My sister, I left her a 1-star review one time because I hired her to do something and she did a terrible job. Like, I felt bad for the rest of the marketplace if they ever had to hire her.
Okay, that's fair. Food-wise, though, right? Do you have like a scale where, okay, I know you do the hamburgers, right? The hamburgers, this, because of these reasons. Is there an element to it of service? Because to me, like, I could go to a restaurant that has the best fucking food, but if their servers are assholes, I'm not going back. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I wouldn't really go back.
I add it in the review, like a separate thing. Like I'll do like experience. I'll do, service, like brand. Like I always vote what the brand is. Like 10 out of 10 on brand. But like most of the time I
that like the server falls into brand of like, Yeah, like the service. So
Yeah.
okay, like In-N-Out's a bad example, but pretend that like what's another? Actually, let's find a real place. Like what's a place lately that you've been to? Taco place last night. Tex-Mex. Tex-Mex. Okay. Let's talk about that. Great food, right? The shrimp, popping.
Yep.
I didn't love the service. She to be honest, and I don't know, man. Like I worked in food service for some time, and I think that's important for a lot of people if they can. Working in food service is a good thing, but like I felt like she was always coming by and inserting herself at the wrong time.
I could tell you it was annoying you. That was my favorite.
She was asking, she's asking if I want another drink, and like my drinks, like I barely touched it. Like I'm like, no, I don't want another drink. I haven't even started this margarita. Like I don't want another one yet. I felt like she was asking questions just to ask questions. And there is like, something to be said for like at least being attentive and always being there. Where like I never felt like we would need something and she wouldn't be around to respond, but I felt like she was overly like engaging, where like we were in like a conversation, and then she's like, oh, excuse me guys, you need another margarita? I'm like, no, obviously, like my margarita is fucking full, like we don't need another margarita, right? Like I'm gonna talk with my friend I haven't talked to him in hell long. Like to me, like that's like, come on, man. Like if I was reviewing that restaurant, that is just as important to me as like that tiny little free steak taco that was delicious, which is very nice.
So service-wise, I feel like maybe 2 or 3 times a year I receive good service.
Well, that's sad. Where are you going? Where are you eating?
I mean, maybe it's more than that, but I just feel like servers just like in general don't care, are always overwhelmed, always keep I drink a lot of water. My glass always ends up empty. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like I'm never sad. I feel like service is just something that's like.
Okay, but you're a smart dude, right? Like, if that happens so much...
I order 2 waters.
No. Ask for a pitcher, bro. Say, as soon as you get here, hey, I know I'm weird, but I drink a lot of water. Can I just have a pitcher and then a couple glasses, and I'll be good? And if you come by every 10 minutes or so to refill the pitcher, you don't have to ask me about it. Just refill it. Like, you could set the bar, right? Like, I worked as a service professional, right, for a while. If somebody tells me, like, hey, this is what I need to be happy... I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't have to guess anymore. Like, this is what the guy needs. He tells me what he needs. Like, they're going to do it for you. And then that problem's solved. Okay, what's the next problem? Move on to that shit.
Okay. Next thing is it takes forever to get my check most of the time, almost everywhere. Like, when I finish a meal, I'm ready to go. I don't like to hang. I don't like to socialize.
Okay.
I'm ready to, like, immediately go.
Okay, pro tip. As you are approaching the end of your entree.
Set your credit card at the end of the table.
Put your credit card all the time. On the corner of the table.
Do it all the time.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah.
Thanks for all the pro tips of telling me how to.
No, I mean, it just sounds like you're close, but like a few small tweaks, and you never know. Like that's
maybe
I think
you're
that's
right.
Good, right?
Anyway, back to the food. If you want to give me like an honest food review, like I try to break down every portion of the meal.
Okay.
So if it was a burger, I would start with the bun.
Okay.
And then I would go over the cheese, and then I'd go over the beef. And then I would go over the price of it, and then I'd go over how the fries were. Like I just try to break down like every piece and rate it.
Okay. What's the scale that you're rating on? 1 to 10?
Yeah. And 7 isn't allowed.
7 is not allowed?
Yeah.
Why?
7's a safe answer. Like a 6 or an 8. Like if you apply that to anything you rate, you like really find out your true feeling on something.
Have you bought the domain no7s.com or something like that? Like, that'd be good.
Walk that in quick.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I'm all for that because I hate this like a 7 is like what can they do better? Like I get that it's like a cop out almost.
Yeah, it is because an 8 requires you to make a commitment, or like, and a 6 requires you either way. Like I said, if you got a 6, if somebody rated you,
so is that the cutoff of like that you would either come back to the restaurant or would not come back to the restaurant if they're either an 8 or a 6?
I don't know, man. Like this is where I'm at. Is I'm new to Dallas, so I get to try new things all the time. And the only reason that we're going to places that I've already been is because I want to give you all 10s at places I've taken you.
Wait, sorry, say that one more time.
Like every place I've taken you since you've been here, I've been to before.
Oh, Oh, yeah. Okay.
And the reason I'm doing that is because like I want to give you like really good food that I know is good.
Got it. So the places that we've gone, brisket place yesterday, Tex-Mex place last night, were places that you'd gone at least once, maybe more.
Yeah, like 5 times.
And they're 8+.
Yeah, for sure.
8+. Okay.
Like that macaroni and cheese. Would that be an 8+ in your mind?
No.
Oh.
6.
Wow.
Yeah. I've had some cracking, like, bro.
Wow. Unbelievable.
It's good. It was good. Everything there was good. Like, honestly, like the fatty brisket was good. But, I mean, I am a bit of a garbage disposal and a goat where I'll eat anything. But when I eat something that's really, really good, I really appreciate that. And so I have like my friend Rich, who next time you come to New York, because I do want to show you my new studio, and I want to take you to my friend Rich's house. He's got one of the green eggs. I think I've sent you pictures like when I've been at his house before, but like we'll make ribs or brisket and stuff. And like he gets his meat like imported from, like he gets the nicest meat. And then he'll get up at fucking 4 a.m. to start smoking something that like we're going to eat at like 8 p.m. that night. And I'll go over early and I'll help. I say help, like I fucking drink tequila and just encourage him.
Yeah, green egg's difficult because you got to actually work at maintaining the heat level.
Yeah, he's got it pretty dialed.
Like I have a smoker, but I just set the heat that I wanted to add in it and put in the wood that I want.
Yeah, green egg gives you a lot of flexibility, but you do have to be attentive. And he's like part of like green egg forums. He's got his own little like mass text group with his friends where he'll be like smoking something and he'll send each other, they'll send each other a picture and be like, nah, you're fucking up. You gotta put more glaze on that or whatever. Yeah, man, I don't know. To be honest, like I've gotten no 10s so far yet, but 10s are so rare for me to give out.
Yeah, I don't think I've taken you to 10 places either. I meant just like I've taken you to places I know are good.
Oh, for sure they're good, delicious. And like I said, I'm a goat. I eat anything.
Like tonight's Italian restaurant. Like
I can't wait.
It'll probably be a solid 8
Italian
on your scale. Like I don't think it's going to hit 6 on your scale.
Italian.
I don't think it's going to hit 10 either.
Yeah. Well, I think those little bacony like cheesy shrimps last night, those were 10s.
Good.
Those were 10s.
Like the root beer you're gonna have tonight, if you order a root beer, that should be one of the best root beers you ever had. Because as a guy that's had 50+ root beers,
but see, that's the thing is like I'm not a big sweets guy, so it's hard for me to even think about giving a root beer a 10. Because I feel like to me like the ceiling for root beer might be 8.
Okay,
so if I give root beer an 8, that's a perfect root beer in my book, and it's just a factor of like I don't really eat sweets.
Yeah. And I'm a real big sweets guy.
I know.
Yeah, I often think like I don't have a good palate at all probably. So like maybe my reviews are going to suck, and maybe that's like the best part about my whole blog is I'm just, hey guys, if you like simple things, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Like for example, I've been doing chicken and waffles every Sunday at a new place for 12 weeks now.
Dude, I did that in LA but with Manhattans, which is a drink, like a alcoholic drink. When I moved to LA, I was like everywhere I would go, I'd get Manhattan on the rocks, and goddamn, I had some good ones.
What was number one?
This place called A-Frame in Venice, just amazing. The annoying part is that like the best ones take forever to make. Like a bartender will. I think it's ridiculous because I bartended for a long time, but like they'll take like 15, 20 minutes to like mix they're like doing like grinding perfect stuff, doing all these little things. I'm like, okay, like at some point, like I get like, I appreciate the effort, but also like I'm thirsty. But yeah, A-Frame is just gangster. Misfit, also phenomenal. But I also never met a Manhattan I don't like. Like it's the alcohol too.
Yeah.
But like I like that. And I know that that's not for everyone. But yeah, me and my friend Nick would like do the circuit to try and find the best Manhattan.
Yeah. So we've been doing the circuit on chicken and waffles, and just like sometimes we get a good waffle, but the chicken's basic. Sometimes we get really good chicken, but the waffle is like not good.
What's the best chicken and waffles so far?
In Dallas?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know. In Nashville, I can immediately tell you. Same with like cheeseburgers. Really, I need to do more exploring here on the cheeseburger side.
Okay.
But that's the thing is like when you Google things in Nashville, like best cheeseburger, like Husk will come up. That will be on the list.
Yeah, that's where we went.
Yeah,
Husk was bomb. That place was really good, and they had great craft cocktails. Actually, really, really good.
Here, when you Google, you just get like franchises and get like, so it's like my goal is like, and what I'm building is to build like the actual local guide that's like good stuff, and it's not limited. Everybody does like Deep Ellum or they do one area. It's like literally DFW, so Dallas and Fort Worth combined. Here it is. I don't know if there's any restaurants in Fort Worth. I like best restaurants in Fort Worth. No matter what I Google, no matter what list, no matter if I do Google reviews, it's always like the same 5, and there's nothing past those 5. They have a lot of franchises. Maybe that's just like how they are. Like I just love one-off places. Nashville has a ton of them because then it's like it wasn't from a factory. It was like from a farm, and that's like important to me.
Yeah, it's cool.
So there's that.
Dope.
So you're gonna start. Tell me about Tops. Let's get into that. I'm a guy who never had a childhood. Audited my parents when I was 12. Not really, but was just a weird kid. And you were a normal kid. You played sports. You collected baseball cards. You know what Pokemon are. You're a normal guy. So you have a licensing deal with not a Pokemon card, a baseball card company called Tops. Tell me how that came about, and then when it launched, what happened?
Yeah. So I have made strategic gifting, which essentially is painting for free, my primary marketing plan for art, because I think that I could spend a bunch of money on advertising and advertise my art to a bunch of people, and it would just look like this guy's just advertising his art. But I think that if I can get my art physically into the hands of the right people, I think that my art has a different level. It hits different when you're holding it or when you're looking at a real one versus if you just see a picture of it online. And also like the way that I got in with the NFL with CJ Anderson that we talked about was through his manager. And he said like, hey man, paint a couple of these for free and then he'll post about it. And like that could lead to some business. And so I did that. And it led to business. And so I continued to kind of do strategies like that. And as the art progressed, I played lacrosse in college. I'm a big lacrosse fan. And so there's brothers, Paul and Michael Rabel, who were icon, specifically Paul's just like arguably like the best lacrosse player of his generation. He's a tiny bit older than me, but not by much, like to the point where like I think I was a freshman in college, maybe watching him play as a senior in college.
Okay.
But he's playing for Ivy League, like Hopkins, and I'm playing for UC Davis club team. So different levels. But like watching this kid play was amazing. And so he decided with his brother to start their own lacrosse league that was going to be kind of player owned, breaking the mold of like the way that professional athletes are compensated and the way that they kind of engage with the league. I thought it was a really interesting concept. So when he launched his league, I was like, okay, well, he had like recorded some video of like them like renting their first office in Los Angeles. And so I tweeted to him and said, hey man, like congratulations. Like I followed you for a long time. I love, like, you're one of the greatest in the game of this generation. Let me paint a picture for you. And at the time, like I had already done a handful of, maybe 50 football players at that time. I said, by the way, I've painted CJ Anderson, Antonio Brown, Drew Brees, blah, blah, blah. He's like, hell yeah, man, your art's dope. Like, let's get some lacrosse art. And so I painted a picture of him. And then his brother, his business partner, Michael, he's like, hey, I love that. Like, would you be down to do something of us together? So I painted another picture of them where they were like hugging after one of the first games of their new league that they'd started together. So I painted a picture of his brother. And then I just mailed them to LA. And that cost me money to buy the canvases, buy the paint, execute the painting, pay for the shipping. It's a lot of steps that a lot of artists won't take, but I'm like, yeah, this is my marketing budget. And so I put my best work in, like that at the time. I did my best that I possibly could, was really proud of the art, shipped it to them. they were setting up their office. He put it like in his office where it's like right behind his desk where he's filming content. They film content all the time. And that was like a really cool thing of like the PLL was always like content forward and social media marketing, taking advantage of social media marketing. And so like my painting ended up behind him. And it just so happened that Jeff Heckman, who is a employee of Topps, which has the license with the MLB to make baseball cards, he's a really big lacrosse fan. And so he was always watching Paul Rabel's content, and he kept seeing this over and over. Bam, like seeing my painting. And like sometimes, not every video, but like Paul does a ton of videos, and like people might be like saying, "Oh, who did that painting?" And he's like, "Oh, that's my boy Blake Jamieson. He's cool. Like you should check him out." And so that's how Topps found out about me, is through a free painting that I did for a lacrosse player. And then Jeff hit me up. He like filled out the form on my contact form on my website. And like normally this is when my site was like WordPress, where like WordPress kind of gets spammed, like content forms where like all the time I'll get all this like bullshit that's like, and sometimes it's like it almost looks legit where it's like, "Hello sir, I'm from such and such foreign country, and I have I've been authorized like a $4,000 US dollar budget to purchase art for my boss, and if you can send me whatever," it's like scams, right? Of like,
yeah.
And so when I got this email of Topps being like, "Hey, my name's Jeff. I work with Topps. I saw your art in Paul Rabel's video. I'd like to talk to you about an upcoming project." Like, I thought it was a fucking scam. I was like, "Oh man, that's messed up. They're getting craftier and craftier." The way that they do it. But of course, just like the dude from Nigeria that has a $4,000 art budget, like I still reply to that dude and be like, "Okay, well, you're on my website because of the contact form. So all you got to do is click to like products, and then you can see what's for sale and what the prices are. So here's the link." Same thing with Jeff. I'm like, "Okay, well, I do like Topps. I collected baseball cards, so I would do a phone call with you, but like, is this legit?" And then we had a phone call, and it was legit. And he explained this project where Topps was hiring 20 different artists to reimagine 20 of the most iconic Topps cards of all time. And so it was like rookie cards of, Nolan Ryan and Derek Jeter, Mike Trout, who's one of the only current players. Like, it was all these like very iconic Topps cards, and they wanted artists to kind of reimagine those rookie cards in their own style artistically. And then Topps was going to sell them, and they were going to pay us a royalty. And it turned out to be legit. And so I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And then COVID hit, and this was like June, like summer of 2019. But it wasn't going to launch until about a year later, like, early, like, I don't know, pretty early 2020. And then COVID hit, and like the project almost, I think, like got shelved. It got pushed back a couple times, but then it finally launched, and then like all sports got canceled because of COVID. And so then we end up like all of these baseball fans that expected to see baseball season start, and then baseball didn't start at all. There weren't, because of the way the card industry works, like usually it's like the season starts, and then there's like cool shit happening in baseball, and then they'll make baseball cards of those cool shit moments, and then they'll sell them. And so baseball didn't happen, and so all of a sudden there wasn't baseball. Like, baseball cards weren't being made, new ones, except for this one project where it was like artists reimagining iconic rookie cards. And so like people that all had like this excitement for baseball season, whether it's to watch baseball or excitement like with their wallet to like buy the new baseball cards, there wasn't anything else for them to buy except for this project. And so this project just took off like crazy, where like, I mean, for context, these cards sold for $20 a card, which is expensive. That's expensive for a single card. They would be available just online. It was a web product, $20, available for 48 hours. Once that 48 hours ended, there was no more of them printed, and they only printed enough to fulfill the orders that happened. And then they would publish the print run. And so like if 1,000 people ordered this one card, those 1,000 people would get the card. Topps would say, "Hey, there's only 1,000 of these cards that exist. On to the next." Well, I was thinking in my head, okay, $20 a card, I get 10% royalty, so I'm getting paid $2 a card that sells. And there's really no reason for it, but like in my head, I was like, okay, 200, and part of it is because Topps said like, hey, with this type of product, we usually like print from like 200 is like a low print run, 2,000 is a good print run, and our record ever, like we've done 20,000 of one card. And I'm like, wow, if I get 20,000 of one card, that's going to be a lot of money for one piece of artwork. But I wasn't hinging on like, I wasn't going to break the record of like the Derek Jeter card. I was like, okay, so if 200 is the low print run, that pays me $400. And on the high end, 2,000, that's going to pay me $4,000. So I'm thinking I'm going to make anywhere between $400 and $4,000 per card, but I have a contract to do 20 cards, so we multiply that times 20, and we take an average. It's like I'm going to make, I don't know, maybe like $20,000, $30,000. And as an artist, like having $20,000 or $30,000 of income, like kind of guaranteed. It wasn't guaranteed, but like I was kind of like leaning on like that happening during COVID, where like a lot of businesses are shutting down.
And you're in New York City, where it was very rough.
Yeah, rough and expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is gonna be sick. I'm gonna make like 40 grand, dude. The way that it took off, fucking insane, man. Like my Mike Trout card had a print run of 76,000 cards. I made $130,000 on a single card. I wasn't expecting that, and nobody was expecting that. But like it took my business to a whole fucking other level.
All right, so that blows up, and you go from you to 12 people.
Yeah.
What did all these people do?
It wasn't quite 12, but it was a lot. Okay, so we had my dad built a custom website, and is still like runs my website.
Thanks, really appreciate it.
It's blood, bro. My sister Tess, and this is what I like, is that like I was able to hire my family members. Like my sister, who was a stay-at-home mom, super smart, but like wasn't working. I'm like, hey, like my email is crazy. Like, can you just help me manage my inbox? And reply.
Should you use Superhuman?
I know. I should use Superhuman, especially because I use Clubhouse. That's a separate convo. So my sister managed my email inbox. Honestly, she should have been my first employee, because she has made the most impact in terms of like me getting my time back, because I would be, all of a sudden my art was on this whole other stage where like I was getting hit up by potential customers, obviously, which like we want to get back to them fast, but also like friends from high school who I haven't talked to in 2 decades. And they're like, yo, you're killing it. What's up? I always knew you were going to do that. And I'm like,
oh yeah, you did?
Of course. And like, these are people that like could have been buying my art for the previous 4 or 5 years. Right. And they didn't. But also like some of them that did, like even like the collectors that really were like still hitting me up, be like, yo, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, thank you. Like you have my early artwork. Like you are an OG. So she does the email inboxes. I hired, basically 4 studio assistants that would come in and be physically in the studio with me every day. And they would be helping me, because also, and this is how I took the business to took the top thing to another level, is like I was getting royalties, but then I would also I would buy my own cards. I would have them shipped to myself, take them out of the case, sign them, usually sign them in a special color. So like gold, I would sign gold on only one card, and then I'd flip it over. I'd write 1 of 1. Seal it back up. I'd sell that card for $1,000. Sold out every time. Like for a gold signature. Then I would do silver. I'd say, okay, we're gonna do 5 silver signatures, and then on the back, 1 through 5, 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5. Those would be $750. Then I would do, depending on the player, I would do their number. So if the player was number 30, I would do 30, and I would sign it in the color of that team. So if it was Yankees, I would do this dark Yankees blue. And make whatever, sell those for $500. And then I would always do a red edition, and red would always be the most common, where I'd do 100 of them, and I'd sell those for $100 each. And so I was pulling, on the high end with the Mike Trout card, I did $130,000 in royalties. But then on the back end of signing the cards and selling them, I'd be adding another anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 of revenue from autographing my own cards. And that took a lot. It was a lot of work to process all of that because we have to get the card in, unpackage it, pull it out of the case, sign it, wait for it to dry, flip it over, number it, wait for it to dry. And then I was also like, I was really worried about counterfeits. So I would take like this like blacklight pen and I would write like a secret code on each card, had a different code where I'd write a little code. And then I would put that on a spreadsheet so that I could track it. So like even now, like if somebody comes to me and is like, hey, is this card real? Like it looks real. And I'm like, use a black light on the back and send me the code. And they'll send me the code. I'd be like, oh, that's like 23 Crown 64. I'm like, yep, that's real. Like, cause I can look. That was a little bit that was unnecessary, but it was still like that was work. And so like there was just so much processing to process a card to be able to like receive it and then actually like ship it to a customer who paid $1,000 for it. We got to make sure that it's a legit product, right? So that's what 4 of the people did. And then I had a couple video editors working remotely where we were filming all the time and then we were editing content. Graphic designers helping me take content and make like stuff cool, ready for like Instagram. An accountant, Andy, helping like manage the books because I'd never like my business went from making about $100,000 a year to making $800,000 a year, which is a big league. It's a big growing pain.
8x,
yeah, 8x. Yeah, so that was the staff. I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, that isn't when you outline everybody. It doesn't sound all that.
It doesn't. It didn't feel like that much. And by the way, it wasn't 12. It was 8, I think, at peak. And it was like 4 in-house and 4 remote. And so it was like 4 studio assistants helping with shipping and fulfillment. My sister, communications. My dad, website, video editor, graphic designer. And that was, I guess that's 9. Whatever. 4. I don't know. 8 or 9. I don't know.
Yeah,
And that was like full time. And then I had like I would hire people casually.
Okay,
like,
so you said there were 20 other designers. Mm-hmm. Did all their cards?
Others.
Yeah, did all their cards go crazy too?
Pretty crazy. I mean, everybody made bank, but I was really early on doing autographs. Me and one other artist named Tyson Beck, and of all the 20, like Tyson really is taking off. Like he's killing it. He's definitely done 1 million. But not everybody, because some of them, like, also part of it is like I grew up collecting baseball cards, and like I love this shit, and so like that's why like we went to the card show today. Like I'm curious, like I want to walk around and see what's going on.
Yeah, you spent $500 on some Pokemon cards and a gold seal that you didn't know was going to be inside of it.
Yep. And then I gave most of the cards away to kids.
I thought I was so mad.
You were a little triggered because you didn't like that guy.
Yeah.
See, I'm a grab bag kind of guy.
I don't know what a grab bag is. I was like, what do you mean? You're paying for something you don't even know what's going to be in it?
That's what I love.
I was like, this guy's totally scamming you. I can tell he's scamming you.
Yeah, well, he did scam me. But I have no regrets about that because I like being in the weeds and like learning like this is the industry.
Yeah. Do you like poker and roulette or like do you like that kind of stuff? Like
I play blackjack if I go to Vegas.
Okay. Because that's kind of the same trigger, I feel like.
Of course.
And I'm into that, so I can resonate with it to some extent.
Yeah, so the artists did varying well. There were some artists that were like more wildly popular with like millions of followers that sold more cards than me. But I hustled so hard to promote the project and to promote myself that like I outsold expectations for somebody that's like an artist of my audience.
So do you do a second drop with them soon?
I'm on my 3rd set now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got my own standalone set after that, and now I'm on my 3rd set, which is Topps Project 70, and like it's different. They extended it. They added more artists, so there's 51 artists involved, and so it's a little bit harder to stand out. But yeah, I mean, I just had a card drop recently that's. You know, they've released like 200 cards so far in the set, and the card that I just put out a couple weeks ago is I think in like the top 10 or top 20. So it's a good like I'm doing well. But there's so many different metrics to like measure how well you're doing, and one of them is the print run, which is how many people buy the card direct from Topps. But there's all these other opportunities to make money, and that's kind of what this has taught me of like being involved in this community is fun, but it's also super lucrative. Where like I told you, I'm like, yo, Dallas Card Show next time, I'm gonna negotiate with them to have a table at every one, and I'm gonna have my art and I'm gonna have my cards, because like everybody at the Dallas Card Show was selling the same shit. You know how many Michael Jordan rookies I don't know if you were paying attention, but like we saw a lot of the same cards. Every booth had the same card. And so they're all competing on price and trying to race to the bottom. I want to just have a different product, and I'll set the price wherever I want.
Like the dude selling signed Donald Trump hats.
Like that dude selling
just a different product.
Exactly. And like that's exactly it. So like I'm going to be like that, and I'll be here every 2 months, and I will crush that shit. Like especially because like a lot of local card collectors are probably coming, right? Some people fly in for it, but a lot of locals. When locals start seeing me every time, they're like, this dude's not going away. That's when like I'll make big money. And it's not about making big money, but like that's helpful, right? To help like fuel my art career. I'm going to crush that show. I'm going to own that shit.
So who's your next company? There's Topps. Who's the next card company you partner with to release? And what if you're the only artist this time? Like, have you thought about stuff like that? Because like that's a $5 million deal, it seems like.
Yeah, so Panini has the rights to NBA and NFL. Most of my work before Topps was in the NFL, so I think I would crush it on a football set with a Panini. I've tried reach out to the CEO because you might as well start at the top. Cold message on LinkedIn just saying like, yo, I'm one of the guys. Like Panini knows what Topps is doing, and like I'm sure that they're planning something comparable, just in a different sport niche. I think it'd be fun for them to like use a Topps artist and kind of leverage, like, because now like I have a bunch of fans that are in the card collecting community that would, I mean, they tell me all the time, like on Twitter, I could probably look like right now, and there's probably like 5 tweets from today of people being like, I wish you worked with Panini for football or basketball or whatever. Those just like come all the time. Not enough to the point where like Panini's going to take notice to be like, guess we got to work with this guy, but enough that like I feel confident that like if I got a deal with Panini, I could sell a lot of cards. Now there's a little bit of like interesting situation because like Topps put me on. They took my business from $100,000 to $800,000, and I won't ever forget that. Just like I won't ever forget that you bought an early original of my painting, right?
Right.
So because of that, I don't actively pursue working with the Topps competitor, because Topps and Panini, even though they do different sports, they're still competing for the same dollars. A card collector could decide, oh, I'm going to buy a baseball card or I'm going to buy a basketball card. They're going to decide one or the other. So I'm loyal to the people that put me on. And so like I'm really loyal to Topps, and that's why like I haven't pursued trying to work with Panini besides that one message on LinkedIn.
Yeah, because it seems like all you have to do is go to all your NFL players and have them all post, like have like, hey, who do you know that made your card? Who do you know? Like start with your current clients of people and like customize. Like if you thought about that as like, okay, well, you've worked with 400 professional athletes, take 10 cards of every one of those athletes, customize them, and sell each one off.
Yeah. So I mentioned that guy Tyson Beck, Australian dude. Other guy that was in Topps with Project with me. He was very early in the autographing our own cards. It's funny because I tell him like, I thought I saw him do it first and kind of followed suit, but like we'll talk and he's like, no, you beat me. Like you did it. And then I followed you. And like, we both think we followed each other, and who fucking knows, but we did it around the same time. He took a different approach where he goes to athletes directly and says, fuck Panini, fuck Topps. He'll go to the athlete and say, hey, let's do a card drop together. I'll design the card. I'm going to make it. You sign it. Then you're going to sign it. And then we're going to sell these cards together, and we'll make a shit ton of money. And he like took an interesting angle where he would go like his first athlete. I don't want to like put him on blast actually, but nah, fuck it. It's fine. He would pay the athletes really well up front, pay them 6 figures. Go to, hey, I'll give you $100,000 if I can do a card deal with you. And the athletes would be like, okay. And then Tyson would shell out that money, and props to him for betting on himself that hard. He'd make a card, send it to the athlete, have them sign it, and then he would sell it on his own website. And he crushes it, man. He sells so many cards, and like he literally like he made his own card brand. So it's like Tyson Beck cards. So it'll be like Tyson Beck with, Donovan Mitchell, which is somebody that I had painted for before. With C.J. McCollum, just recently, like literally launched today. With Lonzo Ball, with like Devonta Smith football. He's going out there and he's striking deals straight with the players. He's paying them something up front to like show he's serious, right? Because any artist could just go to a player and be like, let's make cards and we can make billions. But he's like, nah, man, like I'll put money on this. Like this is gonna sell. And it does, and he does, and then it does. And so like he is killing it. And I think probably, I mean, I would guess he's made more money than I have with his art and cards. I don't know. I haven't added up all like the numbers, but it's public, like it could be done. But I think he's done a phenomenal job of like taking ownership of the card creation. And he just found a really good, he's in Australia. He found a local card manufacturer that will make the cards, buys his own cases and stickers and puts them all together. And like the presentation is beautiful. I have every single card he's ever made. I buy because I like to support artists. And like I believe in Tyson long term, where like a full Tyson Beck collection is going to be sick. Like in 20 years, people are going to be like, oh my God, how did you get one of those Donovan Mitchell cards? There were only 300 of them. And I'm like, yeah, because I buy it as soon as it comes out. Like I'm buying all of his stuff. And like even most recently, like I put out these like mystery boxes and like he's supporting me. He bought one of those and like I'm sending him like this ridiculous care package as like a thank you. It's really cool when other artists like have that same mindset of supporting.
Who's an artist you hate?
Who's an artist I hate?
You don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
No, I will. I'm gonna just, it might be difficult to me to think about. Hate's a strong word. I don't
Dislike.
hate. Yeah. Well, I told you like art brand building wise, I love Alec Monopoly, but I hate how he's approached NFTs and how he's like disenfranchised his collectors. That like I have a fucking original artwork of his. Like I've been supporting him, retweeting, promoting his shit for a long time. Spent some money, on originals, and then NFTs come out.
Yeah, what does an original art of his cost?
Between 10 and 20K.
Okay,
for a small one.
And is it just a Monopoly? A Monopoly man?
Mm-hmm. It's a little DJ, like DJing. I mean, it's beautiful art. But I don't even have it hung up. It's rolled up and like it's in storage basically.
Do you think there's a business in doing where you put like the coating over an image that makes it look insane?
The resin?
Yeah.
Resin as a service? No. I don't think it's a business. It's cool. And like you could do a micro business. Like you could have a few clients. But I also like I would feel
like if you did
I would
before
feel
and
really
after and then just had people ship you your stuff and then do it.
Yeah. But even like on this one that's right here, I know they can't see it, but like I was looking at it, I'm like, damn man, I did a shitty job resining that. And part of it is like I just didn't mix enough resin, and so like there's parts of it that's bubbly. Like I wanna fucking take that to my house. Like I wanna redo that.
Oh, I love it so good,
and I will.
Well, it's signed by Jocko, so now you can't.
No, that'll put it in. That'll fossilize it where
okay.
it'll be good. You'll still have all that, but it'll be underneath the glass. Yeah, I mean, art resin is cool as shit, but it's definitely like, I mean, that's a product of me like learning and expanding my business of like, I didn't know how much resin I needed, and I didn't make enough. And then that's what you end up with, and that's fine. Like it's cool. Like it still looks cool, but I look at it now and I'm like, I could do that so much better.
But it seems like if you get the processes down, there's a bunch of people everywhere that would ship art to have you do it because it just looks so much cooler when your art's coded like that.
So you're thinking like the artist doing it before they sell it, or are you thinking like the buyer like buying art and then shipping it to me to resin? Like,
I think both. Like I think there's a market for like a resin business that like, and all you show off is like before and after. Like here's your image before, here's your image after. Like one pops, one stands out, one like I have a painting in there of Elon Musk, Ross Baines, super cool.
I love that. I would resin that for you.
Yeah,
But like I would, in general, be very hesitant to put resin on another artist's work. Obviously, like I guess if the owner is like, yeah, I want that, that's fine. But I don't know, man. I'm not gonna fuck with somebody else's work. You know, I just don't think it's right.
I was just thinking maybe I don't know. I just think it's like a niche business that could actually do pretty well.
I agree. I think that yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough because I would have to like let's just say if you and I don't know each other, but I run that business and you're like, I'm going to send in that painting to get resined. Like I would have to have you sign a release that says, yo, if this art gets messed up, like it's not on me. That's what you're paying, right? And you still owe me the money. I don't want to ever be in a position where I'm having like, I'm okay. Like, you know, having people sign stuff like that to be like, all right, well, liability waived, right? But like, what if I fuck that up for you? And then it's an original painting, so I can't replace it. And then it's like, even if like legally, like you still owe me money, like I would just, I don't know, man. It's just,
I guess my thing is there a high possibility that it gets fucked up?
Not a high possibility, but a possibility nonetheless.
All right, who's the coolest professional athlete you've worked with over the past 6 years?
Terrell Owens.
Did you work direct, like in person with him?
Yeah.
Oh, when did that recently launch?
Yeah.
Dude, you got to start using Instagram, man.
I use Instagram. I don't know why you keep saying I need to use Instagram. My old Instagram got deleted.
Yep, and then you
so
got
it's
a new
not Blake
one.
Jamieson. I got a new one.
Blake
and I use
the
it all the
artist?
time. No.
Oh.
Athlete.portraits.
Oh.
Come on, bro. Blake, yeah. I feel you, but
let's see.
I wonder. I was like, why does he keep saying that, man?
Look, here's me tagging you, Blake the artist.
Yeah,
Can't wait for you to come into town.
I don't tag that. I don't.
837 followers.
No, that's not it, bro. That's not it.
Living the dream.
Google Blake Jamieson.
No,
Or,
look,
sorry,
you
not Google.
even tagged yourself in this photo. You tabbed the other one. Oh, yeah, you have 33,000. Yeah, you're legit. Okay.
I told you.
Wait, how's there not a photo of you and I on Instagram? That's unfair. Is there one in your story?
It might be on stories. I'm not sure. I got some shit about Dallas. I don't know.
Yeah, I look kind of look like a serial killer, but also look kind of dope.
Do I have one? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, yeah. Yeah, Terrell's great, man. He's really, really he's a nice guy, and he's a beast. I appreciate people that like really, really, really pursue excellence, and he is a good example of someone that like. He is he's probably 50 years old. I don't know. I don't know that for sure, but like let's just say that he's 50. He's out there training. Like he didn't retire on purpose. He retired by like getting dropped by a team and then not really getting a shot at any other team. And like he's in the Hall of Fame, but like he's like vocal. He's like, yo, I never retired. And so he's out like training right now. And he's talked about it. He's like, yo, if I could come back to the league, I would. I'd love to play for the Chiefs because I like Andy Reid. I love that, man. Like being 50 years old, like out working, like not only out working, but outworking everybody, like these young cats that are like, in the league. Like the dude is a fucking athlete. Like he's a beast. And he's just out there trying to like make his mark on the world. And I appreciate that a lot.
What was the project?
So it's called 81 Gallery. So it's 81.gallery. It was an NFT project where I recruited 6 other artists to collaborate, and we all made art around Terrell Owens' iconic touchdown celebrations. So he had all these. I mean, and that's another thing that I love. Like he got people talking, he got people excited, and so he had all these ridiculous touchdown celebrations. Like one of them, he went, in San Francisco, he went over to the cheerleaders and he like took the pom poms, and like they think like he's just gonna do his thing, but he actually like kind of like knew their dance, so he like started doing like their dance, and they were all dancing with him. Like that's ridiculous. Another one, he like pulled a Sharpie out of his out of his sock, signed the ball, went and gave it to a kid. Another, he had this iconic, a bunch of iconic ones where he kind of went to the middle field, like in Dallas, like at the Dallas Star when he played for the Niners, and had this kind of like almost like Jesus-y kind of like he's like out there on the Star. The one that I did was also, this is when he played for Dallas, and he went and took one of the fans' popcorns and like poured the popcorn.
Yeah, I remember that
face.
one.
So like that was my artwork, was the popcorn piece. And man, we did an NFT collection. We launched that about a month ago.
Are there physical paintings of each one too?
There are, but those are owned by the artists. Like the NFTs were separate. Although the NFTs do come with a print, a one-of-one print on metal, which will be signed by Terrell Owens. But yeah, I mean, we did pretty good. I mean, it's nice to be able to write.
How much potential there is.
It's great.
That was one athlete. There's
I mean, it's
thousands.
nice to be able to like wire an athlete, 5 figures, and be like, thanks for letting me like help, put together a gallery, right, of your stuff. And like, and the same thing of like paying some of these artists. I was able to loop in artists, some of which were very established, and then some of which were new people. Where like Terrell Owens is like the biggest collaboration they've ever done. Feels really fucking good to be able to take that to an artist and then give them something like to put at the very top of their resume. Because I went through like all the shit of like not having a stacked resume at all. My resume was marketing and not art, and I had to figure it out and make it work. And now like I have this position where I'm talking to like Hall of Fame athletes, and then I can tap an artist that I'm like, yo, you haven't got your shot yet? Here's your shot. Make this piece of art. Like we're gonna get, we're gonna make some money together. Or it wasn't even really about making money. It was really about making like an impact.
How'd you get in touch with him?
I'm friends with his agent. I've done a handful of work for his agent, Max Management, or sorry, not agent, manager. Max Management reps Terrell as well as a handful of artists, and I'd already done a bunch of work with their clients.
Have you done any work with any UFC guys?
I did a free painting for.
Some
let's see.
Irish
I've done a
dude,
couple.
Conor McGregor?
No, I haven't done Connor, but I would. I did. So this is actually not UFC, but this is wrestling. But Jordan Burroughs is a Olympic wrestler. He's a legend. I wrestled in high school, so that meant a lot to me. And then, oh God, what is the guy's name? I have done a couple UFC, like nobody huge. But yeah, I mean, most of it's more traditional sports. I would like to get more into. I would love to do stuff with UFC, like directly. It would be sick.
Yeah, I wish we would have. I wish I'd have thought to have you do more events. Like, I think you painting rabbits at the rabbit launch party would be super dope. I should have thought of that.
Yeah,
I'm now thinking there's this like fitness game that's going to happen for athletes,
like CrossFit Games type thing.
It's like that, but it's for athletes that have a missing limb, or like I forgot the actual technical term. And so I was telling you this yesterday, I think for a little bit, but like I'm immediately thinking like, oh, it'd be so cool to have you plugged in there and like painting the top 3 winners or whatever, or, just like, it's just another form of content. Like a good event is when you have a sick video and sick photos after it, and just the next level is sick paintings of it. Like that's just like the next level. And you're a cool guy. Like, like people that paint live events can also be like pretty damn lame. And you're obviously not. And so I think it's just so crazy. Like we're like the amount of potential that revenue can just stream, like can just pop out of anywhere for you.
Right.
And you do a really good job of only monetizing essentially your art. Like you don't teach any classes, you don't do coaching, you don't do consulting. Like you like pretty much just like, I'm going to make money doing this one thing.
Yeah. I would like actually to expand that. I think that informational, like info products, whether it's a course or whatever, was popular. Like when I was in digital marketing, like that's how a lot of digital marketers didn't make money from being good marketers. They make money from teaching other people like why they're good marketers, which I always thought was like incestual and just like ridiculous. And so that's honestly why I've stayed away from, because a lot of people have said, like, throughout this whole process, they're like, yo, why don't you do a class on how to do a stunt, how to do this, how to do that? And I'm like, because I need to, like, go make it. Like, I need to make my name first by, like, doing it before I'm going to teach you how to do it. And there's a lot of people, I think, in the education business that make their money through education before they've really, like, earned their own stripes. I'm was very conscious of that, and, like, wanted to make sure that, like, I plan to have educational content to teach people how to paint, but not art, like how to paint that art school won't teach you, because I didn't go to art school, and I'm very vocal about that. I'm like, you don't need art school, right? Like, I could teach you how to paint, just like I learned how to paint on YouTube. Also, like, art business, like, this is
YouTube?
shit. Art school.
What's it called?
Art school won't teach you the art business, and I can, and it not even like. It doesn't apply to everyone, because, like, you got to have thick skin, and you got to have a creative mind, and you got to, like, just try shit. And that's how I've built my business. So I think, like, there is an opportunity for me to say, hey, look, here's my background, not art. I learned art myself through YouTube, and then, like, here are all the experiments I ran to try and, like, promote my art. And that could be, like, the strategic gifting. It could be a bunch of different things. And so I want to do educational content. I feel like I'm finally, like, maybe now that I cross this, like, to me, like, $1 million threshold seems cool. They'd be like, if I tell people, like, yo, I've sold $1 million of art, like, I could probably teach you something. I just don't want to teach it. Like, I don't want to sell anyone stuff I don't believe in.
Yeah.
Or even like I might believe in it, but it still might be wrong. I don't want to sell that to people. I'd rather give that away for free.
Yeah, because the game is relationships, and relationships lead to everything. And so I'm always looking at, like, what is my move for more relationships? Mm-hmm. And you have this interesting where people, they know me as a businessman wants relationships, but you as an artist, they don't look at it that way. I'm just, like, spitballing essentially and saying that, like, I think it's really interesting how many relationships you have from doing art that are unmonetized. And even,
I mean, also as crazy as, like, think about, like, I feel like I could run, let's just say if I did, like, a mastermind, like an art mastermind, and capped it at 10 people. Only 10 people could be in it. They got to pay $1,000 a month. No, there's no contracts. Just get in or get out, whatever you want. I'm at a point now where I think I could take 10 artists that were paying me $1,000 a month, which would command a lot of my attention. Could bring $10,000 a month in myself. Like, passive income is not the right word, because it would be very active. That, like, I could make 10 artists a month ridiculously successful. And I just got to figure out when I want to flip that switch.
See, but that's why the price should be closer to, like, $50,000 a year. I know right now it'd be $12,000 a year, because essentially you're saying, instead of art school where you graduate with nothing, you're going to spend $50,000 with me, but you're going to graduate with real, like, with clients and art and, like.
But there's no graduation, man. It's a journey. It's not a destination. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think because
then it's really commanding if you're making.
I think that if an artist, like,
of
if you came to me and you're like, yo, fuck this business and president shit, I'm going to be a painter. I want to be a painter. I'm going to pay you $50,000 a year to mentor me. I could make you that money back, but probably not in the first year. Maybe not in the first 2 years. But if you stuck with me for 3 years, I could probably set you up to make $500,000 a year, every year for the rest of your life. And I don't even know how I would do it. I just, like, I've done it for myself. And then also, like, I've helped along the way, just, like, casually, other artists where, like, I mean, last year with those Topps autographs, like, there are Topps artists, and even, like, this year, like, I'm hitting up, like, the new artists. I'm like, hey, here's some opportunities. Here's what I think you should do. Some of them do it. Some of them don't respond to my message. The ones that do it, like, literally are making $250,000 a year because they took my advice.
Yeah.
I don't want to say like I can't take credit for that because like I'm not the reason they're making the money. The reason they're making the money is because they've done a really good job building their art brand and their art is differentiated enough that like their art's fucking sick. I'm just helping them say, hey, your art's fucking sick. Let me help you monetize that. And I can help them in a very, 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 very meaningful way to the point where like one of my Gregory Siff, one of my favorite artists of all time. For years, I was hitting him up all the time on Instagram, even with my old account that I had like, you know, was verified and had a bunch of followers before it got deleted. Like I was always hitting him up and be like, yo, Gregory, I love your work, man. Let me help you or let me do this. Let me blah, blah, like never heard back. We're both in the Tops project. We finally link up. I'm like, dude, I've been a fan of yours for so long. Like your brand is so sick. Your customers love you. Do these autographs and this is going to change your life. Like 2 weeks ago, I went to LA. Like I was at a house, like Gregory bought a house with Tops autograph money. And he's like, dude, like this house is your house. Like you can stay here anytime because like you helped me take this. Like it wasn't like I didn't help his art get any better. I didn't help him even get more customers. I just helped him like,
you're a business mogul.
I just helped him give an offer that would like capitalize on his existing audience to the point where he's like, yeah, I can just buy a house now. And he did it. And like, that's dope. And there's like another artist, this guy Ermsey in France. Like we had a call and I'm like, yo, you should do these autographed cards. Like, I'm telling you, man, let me help you lay this out and lay out the business. He's like, I don't know. It's like, all right, well, do you have a studio? He's like, no, I wish I could have a studio. I'm like, all right, do this and let's see what happens. Like 2 weeks later, he like hits me up. He's like, yo, I got my own studio now because of the autograph, right? Like I'm changing these artists' lives, but not like, it's so weird, like even to say that because these guys are guys that I idolize, that I wish I was on their level. I'm just like helping them to be like, you're already on that level. Let's flip that and just shift it into a little bit of money for you.
Yeah, so that's what running a mastermind is. You're just coaching. You're just like helping. And so it's worth them paying 25, 50 grand a year because they know they're going to get 100, 200, 300K in return from the tips you give. And then it gives you just stable cash flow and allows you to become even better at the business side of things.
But there's two things that I disagree with. Ermsey and Gregory Siff are some of my favorite artists. I would never take money from them. I would, even if they wanted to pay me, I wouldn't accept it. I said, no. You can send me a painting or pick up my phone calls, right? Like that's what I want from them. I don't want money from them. I want to make them money. And maybe that's my problem because
but what if they want to pay you monetarily and it's disrespectful for you not to accept the gift they want to give you?
I have yet to encounter that problem, so I can't answer it yet. Like if an artist that I really looks up to comes to me and is like, yo, put me on game, here's $50,000, like take my business to the next level. I could say, okay, and I'll take their 50 grand and then I can go make them $250,000 or whatever. Because they've already built this stuff. Like I'm talking about artists that are way fucking bigger than me. I could help them fucking monetize that.
Yeah.
That's really hard to explain and really hard. Like I don't want to come to, like these guys were my fucking heroes. I don't want to go to my hero and be like, hey, I can help you, but you got to pay me. I'm not going to do that shit, man. I'm going to say, yo.
Yeah, but you're not saying you got to pay me. You're saying I'm going to help you. And then how about I take a percentage of whatever new growth comes from what I help you with? And it's going to come out to whatever amount.
Yeah. I mean, that might be,
like,
that's the safest approach that I might be okay with. But like, I'm never going to charge my heroes, man. They've already done enough for me.
But look at it this way. Like you have your heroes and that's like cool. Yep. And meeting your heroes is really cool.
Yeah.
And working with your heroes is really cool.
Yeah.
But then to me, the coolest level is like being a business partner with your hero. Mm-hmm. So that's why I share that. It's not really about the money. It's just about like this is a way for it to be a fair exchange because you don't want an unfair exchange with your hero.
I don't care about unfair exchanges. In fact, I think that I actually lean into unfair exchanges of like I always want to give people back way more than what they put in because this is a marathon even beyond like my limited time on earth. Right? Like as an artist, I'm going to be able to finish some finite amount of paintings And then I'm also going to be able to create some finite amount of content that could be, you know, interviews like this, videos, whatever that like live on like beyond when I'm gone. And I'm thinking about that shit. Like I'm thinking about shit that's like past when I'm fucking gone, like dead, right? Like I want like if Gregory Siff pops off in a fucking major way, I just want to be his home. Like I just want to be in his homie and be along for that ride and on that rocket ship, not trying to take money from him while we're both like together on Earth. I want to be like part of his story and his legacy, right? Where he's doing interviews and he's like, man, I was like doing pretty good. And then this dude Blake came along and he helped me like take it to this other level, which is crazy because like he wasn't even at this level that I was at. Like those are the type of stories that like if I can get in there and be part of that story and be part of all these other artists' legacies, that's so much bigger to me than like making $1 million. Like while I'm on Earth, who gives his fucking paper we trade for food? This shit's ridiculous.
Or alcohol too, in your case.
Yeah. It's true, man. I fucking trade these tiny pieces of paper for poison.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, think about that.
No, I get that. I get that, man. I get that. And like I'm just thinking like this shit's just so much bigger than this like tiny window of time.
So what do you think of the next 10 years look like?
For what? What industry? What for what?
For you.
Oh man. Well shit. Let's see here.
Do you still live in New York?
No. Fuck that. I am primarily living in the metaverse, which is the digital virtual world of NFTs. But you know, as far as like where I get my mail, probably in California. You know, I'll have a studio in New York, I'll have a studio in Miami, I'll have a studio in California, and then I'll have some friends overseas where I can go to Barcelona and work for a couple months if I want to. I can go to Australia, work for a couple months if I want to. I'm be pretty heavy in music, to be honest. Like a lot of different mediums. I think that people think of me as a painter right now, and I'm excited to show them that the art isn't just on canvas. And part of that's like I had a history in music. There's a long time where I thought music was going to be my path. Yeah, I'm trying to make a little splash there.
What kind do you?
I rap.
What? How did I not know this?
Come on, bro. Because I keep a lot in the pocket.
Yeah, but I've known you for 7 years.
Yeah, almost nobody knows that. Like I got some hits.
When do we get to listen to them?
I mean, we can air one on the show if you want. No, man. I think I'm gonna be deep in music.
Please tell me you have like beats at Lauren May that you rap to.
No, it's a weird thing with dating where like we talked about it a lot because we met under the context of like potentially I was trying to get her to do vocals on a song, and she ended up telling me no because she didn't think I was serious enough about music, even though that song ended up being smash. And you know, and then we ended up dating, and like she's like, yeah, I probably should have done it, but who cares? Because I didn't pursue music. Like nobody knows me for music. That's fine, right? But like if you're asking me about 10 years, I'm gonna be a fucking painter, musician, sculptor, philanthropist, art collector, gallery owner, all that shit, and still feeling like I got everything to learn.
Yeah, I think something I really admire about you is that you really do reinvest everything into what you're
110%.
Yeah, into like what's next.
Yeah,
and I kind of do the same thing.
Yeah. I've like overdrafted my bank to lend a friend money that I'm like, they're gonna do better things with this money than the $35 I'm gonna get charged to to take it out. Right? I'm serious. Like it's part of it.
My friend's WhatsApp account got hacked, and he asked me for money, and I sent him money.
Yeah.
And then I sent it to him directly, not to the number they told me to. And so it's like frozen. I don't know if I'll get it back. And he was like, dude, you were the only person that they hacked my account, sent a message to everyone. You were the only person that just like no questions asked, sent money.
I would do the same thing, man.
And this whole time I've been thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot. But then I like,
it's cool.
Now
Good
seeing you
that
doing
guy.
that, I'm like, okay,
good
good.
to be that guy, man.
I don't know. I look at it as like, if somebody's humble enough to ask me, and I'm able, and it's funny, like I even told him, I was like, dude, I was able that day. I don't know about the following week.
Right.
And so I just looked at it as like, hey, I'm able. I don't want to deny my friends, especially my friends who aren't like drug addicts or anything. Like it would be to pay bills or, like it would be to be responsible.
Yep.
Can you wipe that water that you just spilled because you weren't paying attention when you set it back down?
How's that? You know what you gotta do is you gotta put a finishing coat on this table.
I was thinking a epoxy coat. That's okay. No, so it has wax on it, but the wax just continues to absorb. Like every 2 months, you need to like right now it needs to be re-waxed again.
You need to put a finish coat on this.
I like how light it is, so it had to be a very clear coat.
You can put a clear coat on it.
It doesn't change how matte and white this is.
You sure could.
All right, well, send it my way.
I will.
What do you want to sculpt?
Oh, man. Big shit.
So like a Great Dane.
Could be a great
and you're
Dane.
to go up to it and just kind of sculpt it a little bit.
Could be a great Dane. Yeah, man. I think that the sculpture appeals to me because paintings can only get so big. Sculptures can get real big. I want to go big, man.
Like we're talking like the president on the side of a mountain type big?
Maybe eventually, but I'm thinking for now, like, I don't know, 20-foot tall freestanding structure that can be enjoyed from all angles is something that would be like, I think, more impactful as a sculpture than a giant painting that's 2D.
Have you been to Salt Bay Steakhouse?
No.
It's really good.
Is it here?
He's got one in New York and one here and one in Miami.
Pretty much everywhere you want gallery. Get little like meat knifed in the mouth.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
It was, in retrospect, yeah. But in the moment, it felt real. It felt right.
Felt right. Yeah. I would do it. I mean, I would totally do it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I haven't been there yet.
Sorry to get away from sculpting, but I was thinking about your comment on food. I was like, a meal that was an actual 10 was eating there. Like,
how much did that cost?
What? The meal at Salt Base?
That experience, getting meat knifed in the mouth. How much did that cost?
The steak for 2 people was $350. Sides were the typical amount. It was probably out the door $400.
It's not bad.
Because we order water.
$400 on lunch on a boat just the other day. And they didn't put it in my mouth. I had to do that myself.
Yeah, so they have like certain states that he'll cut himself and salt and then do the whole thing. And it comes with a free dessert. It was awesome. The steak, it was like rib cap or whatever, which is like a really great cut. It was pretty dope. I was thinking about like 10 meals that I've had here. I was like, that was definitely one. That was a 10 meal.
Yeah, that's tight.
What do you think about
the service?
It was pretty rock solid. Yeah,
that's good.
What do you think? Do you ever? I know you customized watches in the past, so I'm pretty obsessed with how watches can have like a motor inside of them, or like these $1 million watches that are
the pistons.
Yeah, like it's just insane to me how the things they're able to do with a watch.
Yeah.
Do you mess with watches at all?
I don't really have any affinity to watches. And what time is it right now?
4:25.
Wrong. It's right now. And that's all that fucking matters. And that's why I don't give a fuck about a watch, because putting a fucking number on the time of day, to me, as a concept, is fucking ridiculous. Like, why the fuck do we got to say right now is 4? Unless you're over here on this side of this fucking planet, then it's 6. Oh, but if you're over here, it's 2. And by the way, like, whenever the clock fucking reaches 8, that's when your fucking day ends. Like, that shit is bananas stupid to me. So stupid. So nah, I don't fuck with watches. I did that watch collab with that one company. Like that was on spec, but like I have no desire to be tied to a like putting a fucking number on what time it is. It's fucking now. Anybody that watches this right now, it's fucking right now, right? Who the fuck cares that we record this at let's see here. Oh god. Okay, 4:26. That's so fucking irrelevant, right? In our life, right? In our journeys, right? Your journey to be president, my journey to just exist. I don't even know. I don't even have like I don't have like a flag to like attach to, but like that's to me like time is fucking ridiculously stupid. It's right now. There's there's three things that exist. There's the past, doesn't matter that much, but can play factors in some situations, right? There's right now, which is the most fucking important thing at all, ever.
But right now it's all determined because of the past. For the most part.
No, it's not.
Like every lead you have, every like all these art gallery, like NFL players, all these cool things you're doing, the Topps collection, all of that is because of your past experience, because of your past relationships, because of your past work, has all led up to this moment that's now. And you obviously want to capitalize now, but the past does play a huge role in capitalizing now.
Nah, I don't think so. I think you're wrong. What if my past experience matters right now?
Your work.
Which part?
The amount of time you've put into it.
And when was that done?
Over the past 6 years, 30 years.
It's all the past nows. It's always the nows.
I get the now matters, but the past is required. And if as long as you live in the now, then as it becomes the past, that's great. Like I get the presence of now. I get the presence of like the time is now because you could die tomorrow, right? Like I get urgency in now being important. But what I'm saying is the things you do in the past help make now better. Yeah.
Kind of. But the problem is, man,
you're not working with TO if you haven't done 400 other professional athlete paintings.
Maybe.
No, definitely.
All right. Who do you think I can't work with? Like if TO is an example, right? Like, oh, you only got this because of all the past shit you did. Who's something that you think I can't get because I haven't done past shit? And like, okay, so there's some people that are so unattainable, right? Like Elon Musk, right? That'd be a great example. I'm sure you'd fucking pick Elon. But like, if I decided in the right now, I'm gonna do Elon, I could be painting Elon in 60 days, like with his permission and endorsement, right? Like if that was my focus. Doesn't matter that I did TO or all these other athletes or painting fucking other fucking Mars.
But that's like saying that case studies don't matter.
Case studies don't fucking matter, bro. Fucking what matters is your right now of being able to convince people, right? Everybody that had a case study had a fucking time when they didn't have a case study and they were the first person and I got to convince you to be my first fucking customer or for my first fucking art buyer, bro. That doesn't, case studies don't fucking matter.
I'm saying it like, I'm not using the art stint. I'm like saying in like just running an agency. Like we build websites and do visual branding. The only reason we get more visual branding packages and like projects and website projects is people say, oh, I saw your work here. I really liked it.
Yeah, with that attitude. Of course. If you're going to lean on that as your crutch to get new work, that's going to get you new work. If you leaned on the crutch of, we never done this before, and we're going to try it for the first time, it's going to be fucking sick. And you can do that with enough conviction, you'll get business. And if you don't think that's true, I'll go convince people that don't know who the fuck I am to buy my painting within the next 60 days. Like I can do that all day, bro, because it's all about the right now.
But lead generation, like leads coming in, like I can.
Such a silly term.
We do projects all the time.
Such a silly term. I love that this is so good. Like I love this is going this direction.
Okay,
this is great. This is great.
Okay, we do projects all the time.
Yep.
And how we get leads is typically something to do with a past relationship or past work.
Yep.
And so even though we'll get projects that we've never done anything like it, and we'll say, hey, we've never done anything like this, but like, we're really fucking good. We're going to dominate this project, and you would be silly to choose anybody else. Like,
yes.
And
I love that energy right now.
Yeah. I'm all about that. It's like, but I also lean on like, we have the staff, we have the resources, we've done a bunch of other cool projects. It's just another cool project that's unique and new to us right now. Let's go, whatever. But that the past is helping that.
No doubt. Okay, sorry. That might have all been taken out of context then. The past matters and can affect the now, but the now is all that matters.
Correct. And as long as you keep living that way, then as the now becomes the past, you're fucking set.
Yeah. Sounds like we're on the same page.
What did you think I was saying?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You're saying you're living in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like the past can help determine the future.
It always does.
Yeah. That's why I thought you were arguing with me
how
on
the
that.
past determines the future?
The now.
The now. In the now. It's true, bro.
I love we just had an argument about being on the same side.
Yeah, no. It wasn't an argument. It's just a heated debate of the same point from two different angles. Yeah, man. I mean,
because it's that idea that everything you ever do will help everything you ever do.
Sure. I agree with that.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, then we're on the same page, brother.
Brother.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a fucking wild life. It's an adventure.
Do you want to have kids?
Yeah. But also I'm open to adopting. I don't need to have blood kids.
What do you want your kids to take away from their father?
That's a good question, man, especially from a future dad. I hope my kids learn real early that dad's not always right. Life is this crazy experience where nobody's right 100% of the time, and everything is whatever the fuck you want it to be. That's what I want my kids to know.
Do you think that can lead to a dangerous, dangerous place?
Of course. I think life is a dangerous, dangerous place. And I want my kids to fucking be able to fucking live in that world. Right?
Because, I mean, to say that anything can be what you want it to be.
It can be. Not to say, it can be.
But when does it become silly? Like looking at a car and being like, this is a bus. When it's a car, it's like, okay, we're just making up things now.
I guess. Could be a bus. It's a bus for ants. Right? Right? Or not right?
You're right.
Okay, great. Cool. Next question. Yeah, man. Life can be fucking anything you want it to be.
Yeah, I agree with that principle from a high level. I think when you get real into it, it can get like, I think that words matter and like definitions matter. But this is where me being like more conservative, and you being more liberal, where
this
we
is,
probably.
So this is actually interesting. I was just at this art festival, and the speaker was like, every form of communication is a form of translation. Even within the English language, right? You say things that to you make a certain amount of sense. It's still being translated to me, because to me, those words might have different meanings or different impact, where it's just means something different. And so that's a form of translation where we're speaking the same language, but even within that language, there's some nuance where like I think differently than you do. And so this thing, this sentence, this fact, this whatever means something to you, means something different to me. It doesn't mean that it's not a fact. It is a fact. To you, it's a fact. To me, it's a fact. Those facts translate to something different. That's okay. I think it's a beautiful thing.
This is why politics gets real hard quickly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, because both people agree that they're speaking in factual terms.
Right.
And maybe both are.
Both definitely are.
Maybe, probably. High possibility.
What do you want like when people listen to your podcasts? What's like the common thing that you want people to take away?
Just interesting conversations. That's all it is. So sometimes
then we already won.
Yeah, so sometimes it's like people's history and background.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's people's upbringings that are real crazy, and then they live like a normal life now. But some people like they have a really cool job, and I want to go into that. And so with you, it's interesting because we're good friends. So I feel like I can ask pointed questions more than I can with the average person.
Absolutely.
And also,
I would like more of those.
And also, your upbringing's like, you're like seem like a pretty normal kid as an upbringing, right?
Yep.
And so, but what you're doing now is super interesting. So I just love to dive into that. And then as I get curious things that come into my head, like, oh, what do you want your kids to know? Like, because you're a creative guy and you talk like a creative guy. Yeah. And like, I like to think of myself as a creative guy that doesn't talk creatively and definitely thinks more inside the box on certain things like how to raise children or like hard pointed things. And so I'm always curious to hear other people's thoughts on like what are your thoughts on education? Like, and I think it's funny, we probably both agree that like public schools suck and that like our whole education system is a mess, and that like whether it's like lower grade, like first through 12th, or it's college, like college is definitely overpriced and is not what it's cut out to be. And
how do you feel about homeschooling?
I was homeschooled. So
how do you feel about homeschooling?
My situation wasn't great. But in general, I think it's amazing. They're showing that kids can, like 1 hour of homeschooling can be equivalent to entire day at a public school. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, cool, if my kid can work for 1 hour and then spend the rest of the day exploring, building, reading what he wants to read, listening to podcasts, meditating, learning new skills, learning new hobbies, he'll be very well-rounded and have a very well-developed brain by the time he's 18. So I think it's got a lot of benefits. Are you going to
homeschool Z?
That's the plan, yeah.
How do you feel about the importance of interacting with other kids?
I think it's huge because I did not get to interact with other kids, and I think it really messed me up, and I'm in ways I'm still battling. So for me, I hope that I just build incredible community around everything I'm in, and that leads in. My parents were just like didn't have any friends or anything, so like it's not that I was around adults all the time or anything. Like I was just around kind of like no one. And so I love the idea of my kids being around other kids via sports, and in church and stuff like that, but also around adults while I'm traveling around doing business. Like I love the idea of my family traveling with me as I, do M&A stuff and
what happens if you homeschool your kid and then he, right, it's a boy?
Yeah.
If he says, Dad, I want to go to school.
So I have to understand that's my role as a parent to make decisions. Like it's my kid's job is not to boss me around or to like decide how things are. Like if they want to eat Oreos for breakfast, it's like, well, my job as your parent is not to let you eat Oreos for breakfast, right? Mm-hmm. So I would love to understand, hey, why do you want to go to school? And if it's like, oh, I just want to, like, that's where my best friend Tommy goes, it's like, okay. Or if it's like, well, like, I want to listen to my kid. I want to understand them, and I want to work through things. But it's like if our current schedule is that we go to 20 countries a year and we fly around in a jet, it's like, all right, well, like all this kind of goes away if you decide to go to school. So I want to listen to my kids, but I also want to be their parent.
What if they'd rather hang out with Tommy than fly to Thailand?
Yeah, then I guess that's something we'll cross if that happens. Like I'm not against that. Like I understand, but I want to be a parent. I don't want to be like my kid's best friend. I want to be friends with my kids, but like
I want to be my kid's best friend when I have kids.
I just really understand the importance of being a parent, and that's like super important to me. Is like giving my like kids need guidance, kids need structure, and that doesn't mean I want to be a dictatorship or whatever. But like I want to be able to provide that with my kids. I've met a lot of kids that because I do after school programs and stuff like that that say, you know, I never got instructions from my parents or a path from my parents, and I just had to figure it all on my own. And so like when I made a lot of bad decisions, like I just thought I was doing what I thought was the right decision or what people around me told me to do.
Can we talk about those bad decisions? What did you do? What were your bad decisions?
No, not me. I'm saying like when I've taught to kids that have had rough upbringings and have made some bad decisions, whether like petty crime or like petty violence. By petty violence, I mean like, you know, not murdering anybody, but also like
it's not petty,
more than tripping somebody.
Sure.
But it's because it's like they didn't have structure. Like they were just kind of on their own, and they had to figure things out. And it's like their parents let them do whatever they wanted. Like they made their own decisions, but like it led to a really bad path. And like because kids need guidance, like kids need like kind of.
Have you heard of Oprah's story?
I've not. I'm sure it's like the typical rags to riches story.
I mean, I wouldn't say typical, but yeah, I mean, she was like abandoned by her birth parents and adopted, and like always felt like she didn't belong or wasn't important, right? And she built an empire. I mean, she's one of the richest people on earth, right? Or I mean, I guess it depends on how you judge but like in the top 50, in the top 100, right? Like she's super fucking successful. Same thing with like Simone Biles, one of the Olympic gymnast champion. She's ridiculously successful in that field, but was abandoned by her birth parents and adopted and always like grew up in like foster care and shit, and still like has made this like ridiculous impact on the world. I think is always fascinating. I love to see
there's always outliers.
Yeah.
And it's like we shouldn't we shouldn't throw our kids in the street and hope they become one of those kids. But like it is
No. Not expecting the outlier, but teaching them and showing them that anything's possible.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, like I have kind of anything is possible story in the sense of that, like I was a nobody with no friends that was homeschooled. And I was told I was going to be a failure no matter what I said I was going to do. During this whole
By who? By teachers?
I didn't have teachers. Just like my friends, my kids in the neighborhoods, parents, my dad. We have a good relationship now, but it's just like he calls himself a realist, which is how negative people label themselves.
Of course,
I've talked about this.
I fucking hate that, dude. When fucking pessimists call themselves a realist, I'm like, come on, bro. That's bullshit. Sugarcoating that shit.
So I just look at it as, thankfully, I had the personality of somebody that wanted to persevere, and you know, whether that's from God or the universe or whatever you believe. But it's like for me, it was like I just had this spirit that I was like, I'm gonna win, and nobody's gonna tell me anything different.
That's a good spirit to have, bro.
And thankfully, I won at like a pretty young age, which then helped me through all the tough times that followed.
What do you mean?
Like, you know, my business at 12 did pretty well. My business at 14 was.
What was your business at 12?
Watering plants.
Cool.
And then 14 was regrouping golf clubs, and I learned to like bet on the golf course and purposely play bad so that people would bet me, and then like play good and beat them, which I learned was hustling people.
Sandbagging.
Yeah. And you know, like all these things I didn't know were
pretty
like
great.
Were wrong. I just like,
I mean, it's still pretty cool though.
Yeah. You know, like it's embarrassing now because it's like, oh, I hate that I like, you know, hustled somebody. Like I would never want that to be part of my brand. But obviously, I was 14 and I just wanted to make money, and I never had
you're a good golfer.
I used to be really good. I took when I was 18 and started the agency. I stopped. Now
sandbagging me right now because I'll play. That's great, man. I love that. I did like lemonade stands real hardcore as a kid. I was very into lemonade stands.
Like how many you had going? Did you have multiple lemonade stands?
I had a couple.
Oh wow.
I had a couple. We had a whole neighborhood active, and like we have relationships with the local markets. They let us set up sometimes inside the store, sometimes outside, but Yeah, Morton's. Shout out Morton's, Sarasota, Florida.
I forget you grew up in Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I always look at you as like a California kid.
Yeah. Well, I was born in California, but I moved. My dad always loved like tropical climates, and convinced my mom like that they should move to Florida for a while, and we did. I lived in Florida for about 10 years, age 4 to 14,
and then
went back to California.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I love that little hustle. Doing those lemonade stands. Like, I remember like this dude, actually the first time I learned the word entrepreneur was from this guy that worked for a company that sold They were like sold ceiling fans, but like their giveaway, like their business card was these almost like it's a fucking fan on like a circle little thing on a stick, right? Like a paper plate on a stick basically. And it was like fans.com or sarasotafans.com or whatever. And he would come and he was always hooking us up. He's like, hey guys, you selling lemonade today? All right. Make sure everybody that gets lemonade gets a free fan. And he'd give us like a stack of fans, and we're like, dope. Like,
yeah, you're like, just promoting
free,
his business.
Yeah, it's a free add-on. But like, I was like, that was the first time that I'm like, damn, that dude. Like, as I got older, I'm like, what a smart dude. Like, because he would always find us, and he'd always be like, here are your fans. And I'm like, okay. And like, be like, buy. And we would advertise too, to be like, buy the lemonade, get a free fan. And then people would be like, okay.
There's in Dallas, there's billboards everywhere that say like, I hate Steven Tyler or something like that.com. Steven Tyler is like a real artist, right?
He's a person.
Yeah. So it's like, I hate Stephen Harley. It's like, you know,
Singer.
some unknown guy.
Yeah.
And I hate Steven Singer. Is that it? Is that what you said? That's what it is.
No, Steven Tyler is
a real singer, and he's a singer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate Steven Singer is that what the billboards say? Do you know what I'm talking about? There's these billboards all over Dallas that say I hate Steven Singer on them.
Okay, but he's not a real person.
And so they're just everywhere, black billboards, white text, and you go there and it's like a shitty jewelry shop that's not even called that. It just redirects.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is...
Yeah. What's Who is John Galt? That's Atlas Shrugged. Have you ever read the book Atlas Shrugged?
I've tried to. It's just so long.
It's pretty long. Yeah. In that book, there's this whole kind of mantra they're always saying, who is John Galt? And John Galt, I'm not going to spoil it, but he turns out to be a person, right? But but the whole thing is like, it's building this hype of like, who is John Galt? And that's like what people say, like when they don't know anything. Like somebody's like, yo, what's the weather today? They might be like, who's John Galt? It's basically like, I got no fucking clue. But like John Galt ends up, yeah. Anyways, that's what it reminded me of. But yeah, man, I gave out so many fans of this dude. And I would love, like, it's crazy. Like now, I wish like that dude, I wish I could meet that dude now and be like, yo, thank you for the fans. Also, how's your fan business doing? Also, like, this is what I'm up to. Like, that'd be fascinating.
Yeah, man.
That'd be cool as shit.
It's so weird that I can't really point to anybody like that. I just didn't want handouts. So, like, if somebody gave me a compliment, I was immediately mad. I was a weird kid.
Weird.
So, like, when I started regrouping golf clubs, if people were like, hey, I'm going to tip you, I'd be like, no, the price is this. Like, I just didn't want handouts because I looked like I was 9, and I felt like I got a lot of those.
I was always for handouts, and I'm still. Look, like if somebody
is all about the handouts and free trips. How does she get so many free trips? Can we talk about that? Can we get into marketing a little bit? How do you lock in a free trip?
Well, it's a numbers game, and if you hit up enough resorts and say, hey, let us come to your resort, I will post about it, and I will promote it to my ex followers, blah, blah, blah. From their standpoint, right? If they're not booked, they're like, there's no extra cost for us, right? We're just going to allow one extra guest. And if that person is going to promote it on their social media, who knows? Could work, could not. There's no risk for them. There's no downside for them. Lauren is an amazing, it's a game of persistence, and it's a numbers game. You hit up enough people, some of them are going to say yes, because to them, there's no cost. It literally is like, well, we have an extra room, so fuck it. Sure. Let's try it. Let's roll the dice. Part of that is like, and also to her credit, some of them are repeat customers where they do it once and then they will hit up her again and be like, hey, if you want to come back, like, right, here's the offer. That's awesome. Like, obviously, like, they have the space and like whatever she did to promote was working in their mind. And to them, like, success is a variable target. It might be like success is like more customers, but it also might be like, yo, we had more likes on our most recent post than we've ever had. Like, that's a big deal for us. Like, right? If they post, she posts a picture of herself at a resort and they repost it, and then that post gets like more engagement than anything else that they've ever had. That's meaningful. Brands are having a hard time like establishing themselves online. So it makes total sense to me. Like, she's a baller and a beast as far as like reaching out, and it's a numbers game, and like it pays off every time. It's just a different timeline. Sometimes you have to reach out to 100 resorts. Sometimes you have to reach out to 10. And with COVID and everything like kind of reopening back up, brands have got to be wily about how they can like get people like back to their resort. And so if they have empty rooms and they can fill it with an influencer, they're like, yeah, might as well do that shit instead of having an empty room.
Yeah.
So I think she's brilliant. And still like always have.
Do you ever do that? I mean, you have a good following.
No. Not usually.
Hey, I'll paint a painting of your resort and you can hang it.
See, the problem there is that that's not worth my time. Because my business has taken off in a level that where, like, if I need to make money, and we talked about this offline or off podcast, but like, if I need to make money, there are ways that I can do it of hitting up my existing fans to like offer them some unique way to get my artwork that like I never, ever at this point in my career have free time to paint extra shit for someone just cause like, whoa, what if?
Yeah.
Like every project I take on is like hyper conscious, like thinking like, is this going to be worth my time or not? I still do shit that's not worth ends up not being worth my time. And I'm like, well, that didn't pay off how I think. Like, I'll still take those risks. I'll still do shit for free. But like, I'm not actively like trying to find people that are like going to trade me something for painting for free, because
you don't need to.
I don't need to. I could just say, hey, I'm like, commissions are open. Like, I've got a little room in my pipeline. I'll take a commission and make $2,500. If I need to, if I want to go stay in Costa Rica or wherever, like, I would so much rather just like sell art to a customer that like wants the art, and then like pay the resort the price that they want, and then like have my experience and not feel like I'm not obligated.
Dude, every
to post
time I
about
see
it,
your
right?
tattoos, I think like maybe I should get a mini White House tattooed.
Why is that? Because of like reminding you to like make it there. Yeah. Yeah, I
want to
you
do that
too.
If there was a,
have you ever got a tattoo?
No.
Want one tomorrow?
No. But if there was an artist that could do extremely fine detail, like extremely like perfect lines that were just perfect, and do a White House that was like immaculate, I'd consider it.
Those do exist. It's not me, but
probably somebody in New York. I'm sure there's some amazing artist there that does that.
I mean, you know that you could also just bring a photograph to a tattoo studio and like they'll do their best to like tattoo a photo.
Yeah, but I want somebody who's like legendary. Like I want the Blake Jamieson of tattoos.
I see. His name is JK5. He's in New York. I can introduce you. He's a beast. But he probably wouldn't tattoo you. He doesn't really take a lot of jobs. But he is the beast. He's a fucking beast.
But he will say no.
He would tell you no. I got someone that will shut you down.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
You know something I really admire?
What's that?
Is that you have been consistent about strategic gifting.
Yeah.
I'm so inconsistent about it. I always think like, I need a strategic gift, and I do it like one time with one person, and then I stop.
The problem, I mean, you definitely, it's a numbers, it's the same thing, it's a numbers game. Were you the one that told me about Giftology?
No, we listened to it together though. Remember how we promoted his URL after every like 5 minutes. www. dot. We were making fun of it. I remember listening to it in the barn with you.
I hate that. Yeah, Giftology is a good book, but yeah, man, strategic gifts.
I know, and it is awesome.
And like now, like with your house, like you got so many fucking walls. Like every time I come back here to Texas, I'm just gonna bring you something different, and I'll be like, "Yo, this is for that spot in the corner." Like, okay, the main corner, the first spot I'm gonna hit is in the living room, adjacent to the couch. That little like, kind of angled wall up above, like that, like leads to the ping pong room. Like that, like that's the spot. I need to like. I'm gonna take some measurements, but I'm thinking like a 36 by 60 is gonna look so fucking tight. That's too small. That's too small for up there.
So look, my wife wants you to do one of her, and we want to put this one. We want to put both of them above our bed.
Mm-hmm. I'm down.
So that's the one that we would love a lot.
Yeah.
Mainly because I like hung this above our last bed, and she's like, "When's mine coming in?" I was like, "He's working on it, he's just real busy." And I was like, "Gotta hit up Blake. Got it. I would keep."
Yeah, you gotta let me know, man. I would do it, and it's crazy, man. I mean, I like that, but I also like. It's been 3 years since I've done that, and I'm like, 5 years, 4 years, 5 years. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done that. And I know how my work has evolved. So, like, I look at all the work you have. I'm like, that's cute. Also, I want to do all new shit for you. Like, I want to paint the dog again.
Oh, new Bentley?
Yeah, I want to do.
Well, you should do One-Eye Tommy while you're at it.
Or Tommy. Yeah, like I'm just on a different level than I was 3, 4, 5 years ago. Whenever like you and look, I think it's fucking amazing that you have these, and I really appreciate. Like, there's nothing that I can say to like express my appreciation, but also like I don't even want these on your wall. Like I want you to keep these in the closet, and I want you to let me like redo everything.
I love them so much.
No, I get that. But as soon as I send you a replacement, like a new Nathan painting or a new Bentley painting or a new Jocko painting, like that's just on a whole, like my art's different now, man. I'm on a whole different level, and I want that. Like I always want my best art forward. And so, like, I want to get to a point where these are fucking in a box in your garage, and it's great. Like, it's cool that you have them, and they're probably like going to be very expensive. Like someday you could sell those for fucking millions. But like, I don't know, man. I just want better art on your walls, and this is cool, but it's not on the level that I'm at now.
Yeah. What if? One of two ways. This one's worth millions because it's like, here was President Nathan Ruff when he was 21.
I've even thought about, and honestly, like, you're not even the first person that I've thought about this with. Is like, I've thought about, like, man, I could do another painting of Nathan so sick, and then I show it to him and be like, it'll be like, how much? I'll be like, just give me the old one back and give me this. Like, I'll trade you. Right? I want to upgrade you. That's like a weird.
What if car dealerships worked that way? They were like, "Come here with your old car.
Yeah.
Here's a brand new one."
Yeah,
we've got a lot better.
Yeah, you got the 2000. Yeah, you got the 2002 Dodge Charger. Let us trade you a 2012 Dodge Charger, just straight up. Just bring it in where you drive out. Like that's how I feel about my art, man. Because like I know like you're gonna have fucking dope ass people come into this studio, right? Sitting right here where we are. I want that. I want that for you. But also for me, I'm like, yo, I need to fucking rep myself way better than that, right? Like that's fine. That's my 2016 art.
Yeah.
And it's fucking 2021. So like, I don't really want that like out in the world that much. I don't know. It's just I don't know, man. It's just, like that's how I feel. But like, I'm proud of that painting for the time period, for all of these, right? Every painting, right? I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it for like when I was there, that was the best that I could do. And I'm proud that I did the best for a good friend, right? But now I'm like, yo, I can lace up something way nicer. And I want to do that. And so I'm going to get you some sick new art, whether or not I don't actually want that back at all. In fact, I want you to fucking like box that up and put that in the garage. And I want you to replace it with something that's like, way more impactful. That's fucking Nathan 2052 Like it'll be on the same fucking vibe. Just yeah.
All right, let's end it. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, good talk. Okay, bye.